Hey Fairby, welcome. Ahoy. Yeah, with J at the end. That's right. It's fine. I think I'm gonna be able to go to work tomorrow. Just gonna have to go to the doctor first, but after that, I'm gonna be probably heading straight to work. It's still not 100%, but should be fine enough. Hopefully. We'll see how I feel in the morning though. As always, you know, that kind of aspect. It's usually worse in the morning. Need to really start to wear some proper winter clothes because it's getting really cold here. Yeah, hopefully not. Depends, because sometimes there aren't enough people, so I have to do other kind of work, not just my normal work. Sometimes it is outside. We had plus 5 degrees some days this week. Now it's snowing again. It will be very slippery tomorrow morning under the newly fallen snow. I can believe that. Hopefully people change their tires already. Should for a while, but you know how it is. But somehow a lot of people are always surprised. So like the video you posted not too long ago, gonna have to watch it. Alright, gonna start by explaining what this is because, well, assuming that a lot of people really don't know. So what are we gonna be doing today is testing the tutorial for C3 Augustus, which is the Governor's Academia. That's how it's called. Hey Johan, welcome. We're gonna be testing the maps 1 to 3. There is some disclaimers before we go into it. Obviously I made it, so I know what's gonna happen. That's one thing. Another thing is we are still missing a lot of art assets, and the messages have some little formatting issues, which is gonna have to be ironed out. None of this is public yet. It's available on Discord if you want to test it. You can enter to Discord and get the files there. It requires the lattice unstable to play it. What else is there to say? It's supposed to be a replacement for the horrible vanilla tutorial, which doesn't cover anything really, and it has really bad scripting. So this not only uses a lot of the Augustus things, but there is also a lot of tools in the map making that now make it possible to highlight objectives, do all sorts of things like that. Now in the vanilla campaign there are 2 tutorial missions, Aventine and Brundisium, both of which teach you basically nothing. Well, they teach you not even the essentials, they just, you know, tell you what certain things do, but even then they lie to you. So this one hopefully works a bit differently. As I said, there is going to be new assets to show what kind of things are we talking about, and when it becomes a new campaign, this mini campaign will have the intro message shown as a big screen instead of the small one that we'll have here, which is annoying, I know, to read. We'll have to read the messages or at least get the gist of it. Johan says, problem is the horrible vanilla tutorial is messing up the build menu. Ah, yeah. I mean, I can understand that, but also it's just not really. It's come to a point in the development that with how Augustus mod works and what's there, it just no longer really does anything, the vanilla tutorial. Because before with Julius, at least it kind of taught you like 10%. Now it's like 2%. It ceased to become a thing. So hopefully with this we can kind of make something better. Now obviously another thing before we get into it is that I have absolutely zero control if this ever makes it into the game files, and I have to assume that it won't, and I'll have to publish this myself on Haven like I do with the Reconquered campaign, so very likely it's gonna have to be done in that manner. That's fine if the devs don't want this to be, or they can't have this for any reason in the game files. It's their decision to make. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna be salty about it. Because at this point, I don't really care. This has been abundantly clear that for one reason or another, basically politics, you can't add certain things to the mode. So they have to do what they have to do, I have to do what I have to do. Why am I making this? Is because I want more people to be able to enjoy the game. And not just the vanilla campaign. Playing it with the Augustus mod, as you might know, is not very enjoyable because a lot of the things that Augustus mod does add don't really have a place in the vanilla campaign, and you don't end up using most of it, and it's just kind of bloat. So in order for people to enjoy custom maps especially, this tutorial basically will exist to make people kind of realize how the game is played, but also familiarize themselves with Augustus things in hopefully manner which is suitable even to people who don't know anything about impression styles games, meaning they don't know what Walker system is, for example. So as I said, this is gonna be very back to basics. Obviously we all know these things, so you know, not super exciting, not difficult, but that's kind of, it's a tutorial, it needs to be like this, okay? Johan says, I mean in code, it makes everything have special cases. Yeah, I know, that's why I said the scripting is cursed for those two missions, and it's never used ever again, and we can't even use that in like the editor. These scripts were created for those two missions, hard-coded into it basically. And I assume when Bianca recreated the code, she had to kind of make up these things as she went, meaning that it's a mess, right? I don't know. It depends, because I know that Sephiroth would probably want this tutorial to be part of the campaign, or part of the game files. If it is, maybe we could kind of get rid of the two missions, but keep them as the, you know, they should always be kept as like, if anyone wants to play the first two missions of the campaign. They don't add anything, but they should be there for anyone who wants to play it. But obviously, we could kind of recreate those with the tools we have in the editor, so that we don't have to use those special cases and just kind of make them up again, but make them with the tools we already have, in which case it would all be adhering to the same rules we already have, so it probably wouldn't cause these issues in the future. And this is something that could be done, I assume, because most of the stuff that's kind of happening in those two missions we could do, except that immigration prevention, which we can't do that currently. So maybe something to look into. Anyway, we are using the latest unstable build. I'm gonna go ahead and boot up the game. Let's see if it gets captured. It does. Does it fit, or is it offset? I think it's offset. Let's do that. Let's get some sound. if you make that, then we can basically recreate those 2 missions with the events, so that we can get rid of the old ones and just they basically would do exactly the same things, even if they are terrible. Just so that that is that kind of legacy thing that people can go and play it if for whatever reason they want to. They should be able to. I'm trying to resize my window here. Just give me a sec. Because I need to see my chat. Almost. Something like this. Now we need to resize this. Fit the screen. There we go. So everything should work. Hopefully. Hello, Matt. Welcome. And thank you for the help with the corrections, by the way. I've added a couple new things, so when we do the final check on the messages, I'll run it through you again. And then Sajuk offered to help with corrections, so we'll probably add another step to the verification process. He's Scottish, so I don't know how much of a conflict there will be with American to English, you know, spelling or specifics. However, I figure that if we do run it through both kind of sides, we end up with something that's comprehensive to both sides. And you've done a great job before. It's not like I really need another step, but I figured since he offered to help, we might as well get that extra effort, because it would be great if we get less kind of. There's been specifically one person on Zach's videos, it's called Cyclist. This is not called, but I don't care about this person. But they've been constantly complaining about American spelling in the RC and in the mod in general, which if you know how Season 3 was made, it was made by a mixed crew, by the way. It's a lot of the devs were from the UK, but not all of them, and the spelling was inconsistent even in the base game, so this has no merit as a complaint. However, we do want to kind of make sure that that isn't any strong leaning towards one or the other. There are some differences in spelling as long as he doesn't convert things to British for me. We'll see. I hope he doesn't. It's gonna have to be... I will still run through and verify, so like we'll probably have some sort of compromise, I imagine. That's how I would do it. And I'm not, you know, I'm not a native, so for me, these kind of things aren't necessarily, I'm not someone who understands the details of that, the American versus British. I know some things, but not many. So I'll have to just kind of see what we come up with, and hopefully that's good enough for everyone. The artists were all from the UK, says Johan. Maybe, but not all the devs were from the UK, so as I said, that complaint is strange. Yeah, we want some kind of similarity, like it needs to have a consistency, and that's what we kind of aim for, so hopefully we can kind of get there. We'll see. Anyway, that's for later. That's for the Reconquered campaign. Even though these corrections will need to be done as well, I'm probably not gonna run this through Cedric. I'll see. If he wants to, I could. If he wants to, I'm not gonna. You know, it's up to everyone to help with this project. It's not like we get paid for it or anything. It's volunteer work, so if anyone wants to help out, they can. But no one's kind of obliged to do anything, except obviously we kind of wanted to get this out at some point because it's been in the making for a while. The reason for delay was that a lot of new things were added to the editor. No small thanks to Johan and Sephirex and other devs who've added so many things that now are possible, which weren't possible before. And I really needed a lot of these things in order to make the tutorial make sense. So today we're gonna be doing sort of a rough test of the first, well, not first, because the tutorial, I wanted to make 4 missions, but at the end I decided that 3 missions will suffice. as one, time limitations, and two, I feel like it's unnecessary to add yet more missions to the tutorial. I feel like 3 is plenty. We could technically, what I wanted, just to be clear, I wanted 4 because I wanted the 4th one to be now put everything you've learned to use. And there would be a scenario with military and requests and everything together, and then you just have to win it. And I feel like we don't need that because, well, it would just be essentially repeating the same. I could make it if there is interest. Obviously, I'm gonna put this on YouTube. I'm gonna read every comment. I'm gonna listen to what people have to say. It would be a lot of work to do it, but potentially if there is a lot of demand, then I might make it. So it really depends, because I'm making this up as I go. I can make any changes, I can do whatever I want. Essentially, the only limitation is time, and obviously the opportunity cost, because instead of this I could have been working on the RC, and I can't because this is a priority right now. Without this, we can't get many new people into the game because they don't know how to play it. The RC does kind of account for you knowing at least some of the things, and so this should overall help the game and the mod in a big way, and that's why we are making it. That is the RC to put everything together. Well, yeah, sort of. But that's why I said I think that we don't need the 4th mission. But in case that I'm wrong, we could make it. Like, it's not that much extra work, I suppose. It just depends what people want, and I'm gonna listen. So yeah, so these are the missions. Let's check the first one. Fairby says beating the original tutorial, and the tutorial in season 4 is already achieved, so it looks like it looks great so far from what I've seen. Okay, well, we are not, we just don't want to only exceed what's there. We want to really, like, you know, transfer as much knowledge in a reasonable way as possible to the new players, so that they don't come here wondering about basic things, which the basic tutorial will teach you nothing about how most things work. So hopefully this one will. Welcome to Governors Academia, Basics of Constructing Roman Settlements. So we'll be playing, the first one is Colony of Aquileia. Again, the assets, we will get better ones, and this screen will be larger when it becomes a custom campaign, because right now this is a bit tiny and I don't like how small it is, because reading this will be a bit of a pain. Instructions. Let your governorial training begin. First, you must learn the basics of constructing Roman settlements. In this assignment, you'll be tasked with establishing and governing your first Roman city, the colony of Aquileia. As your advisor, I will guide you through each step of city development. The first step in constructing any city is always going to be evaluating the landscape and placing a road layout for your housing block. Fortunately, Roman engineers have already built some roads for you to use. Place housing on the inside of the pre-planned housing area, but be mindful that houses placed more than 2 tiles away from any roads will be automatically removed, as they are not viable for habitation. Just gonna quickly stop here. Obviously, there is gonna be like a shit ton of things that are, there is always more to be said about basically anything, and there is, in the extra information category at the bottom of these messages, that is like the meta things, right? Hey Flynn, that's welcome. And so that's gonna be explained that a lot of the times, oh, but you need to explain mergers and all that. Yeah, I will, but it's not, you know, it's not possible to make everything be in one message, because then people won't read it and they don't know the context of it yet. So that's kind of why it needs to be structured in this manner. So we get a nice picture, moving people in. People arrive in your city from the road to Rome, which is marked by a red flag at the edge of the map. Do not block your city from having access to the road to Rome, or the road to the Empire, which is signified by a blue flag, or your engineers will frantically try to remove structures to free a valid path. Each housing plot can only have one immigrant going to it on the map at the same time. Therefore, placing together swaths of housing plots is usually recommended. To proceed with this assignment, place enough housing plots so people start moving into the city. This objective will be complete once you have reached a population of 100 citizens living within the city. I will now leave you to conduct your assignment objective. Feel free to consult this message again if needed by clicking on the View Messages scroll icon button found on the right side of the control panel. From there, the messages from your scribes window will open and you can view the first mission briefing once more. Relevant objectives always display the exclamation mark symbol in front of them for easy navigation of the message menu. New objective: have at least 100 citizens living in the city. About. This tutorial should be suitable even for players without any experience with impression style games and walker systems. Extra information regarding specific features that are not strictly necessary will be displayed at the bottom of each message under additional information. This information is often vital if you want to understand the game's mechanics well, but it isn't strictly necessary for a more casual playstyle. Some of the messages can be quite long. If you wish to see the objective's requirements, you can scroll down to each message, see the necessary information under the new objective or reward sections while ignoring most of the flavor text. Objectives will be displayed at the top left corner of the screen. Certain complex in-game mechanics will be disabled for the time being, such as religion, health and sentiment, but will become important to manage later and will be explained in detail. For now, focus on what the objectives ask for. User interface. Actions such as placing housing plots and clearing obstacles with clear terrain tool can be accessed on the right side of the screen in the control panel. Each building or section is separated into its designated category and is represented by an icon. The dimensions for your starting road layout are 22 by 6 tiles or 24 by 8 tiles if we count the road itself. This happens to be the most efficient length and width that future citizens or walkers will be able to reliably cover. The current month and year are indicated at the top bar of the game screen, along with your city's denarii, personal savings, and city ratings. We will touch upon these in more detail in future objectives. You can also see map rotation keys in the user interface above the building menu icons. These directional rotation hotkeys allow you to flip through different map orientations. If you wish to reset the view, central button can be used to reset back to original position. Housing plots. So this is the layout. For typical 22 by 6 block, it is common to use the sides of the block for additional housing. Feel free to utilize the area in this manner. Houses can be of 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 in size. This will determine the maximum number of inhabitants in each house. In the future, the 1 by 1 houses have some other downsides. In the future, the 1 by 1 houses have their other downsides, which will be explained in more detail later. Some houses will not merge into 2 by 2s, even if there is space available for the or their neighbors are also 1 by 1s. This is due to the game's limitations when it was created. Feel free to use all houses merge option in the general settings menu to bypass this limitation. So we show where that is. Then we show the merger tiles. To ensure houses merge into 2 by 2 variants, assuming you have selected all houses merge option, place plots in checkerboard pattern. We could get rid of this because now they're smart about it. Because of the change that was made to all houses merge setting, now they will try to do it as best as possible, which previously they didn't. So I could possibly remove this section. Single 22 by 6 block of houses can support around 3000 total residents. Depending on the future evolutions for the required 4000 residents, it is recommended you keep adjacent place for another housing block close to the pre-existing one for ease of future supply and overall stability. Okay, so we are here on Aquila. We got an objective displayed right here. It says what we need to do, which is 100 citizens. We do have some money. Unfortunately, I can't set it to exact amounts, so there's always going to be that little extra, and it's annoying. And I've asked about it, and we can't do that just yet. Maybe in the future. And we start with reservoir. We can only build housing plots, and we have 22 by 6 with a little offshoot, and then a road from Rome to the Empire. That's it on this map right now. So what we'll do, because our objective is pretty clear, is to build houses. And we can do it like this because, as I said, now they're smarter about merging, so we don't need to really worry about that too much. So let people arrive. still not at 100. Also, checks are done at daily in-game day basis, so they happen very fast. Risks are walkers, roadblocks and walkers. Risks and prevention. Excellent work, Governor. There are no citizens living within the city. You have been granted additional funds for your city's coffers. Every building removal obstacles such as trees or payment of wages requires denarii. You can see your city's coffers displayed at the top of the screen. So that's that. Fairby says, speaking of settings, it would be possible to have recommended settings file in the download, right? Might be problematic to get the player to put it in the correct place though. Yeah, I would. That's something I asked about as well to the devs, which is, could I force certain settings on the player by just, you know, getting a config that I would make the folder structure such that when you extract this, the file from Haven into your C3 folder, it would merge with your config and then it would overwrite your config. Like, we could do that, but I also don't know if we want to do that. Like, that's why this whole thing, I'm gonna make this, it's already done, I made this with no global labor pool, and you don't need to have mergers either. So like, this is the problem and why it takes so long, because I have to make this with the assumption that some people will not even want to use those kind of settings and others will not know how to get them. If they see the problem, then they can maybe find out and like get the settings done. But if they just want to play, they could load into it and then just kind of, you know, play how they. If they want to play casually, then they might not want these kind of things. Yeah, if it's an action, I could totally use that, but I still don't know if we should be forcing that upon players. For now, it's recommended. If they use that or not, that's fine, because I made the maps so that when you start with pre-built settlements later, you start with them having no GLP in mind. Before I worry you with how to make some denarii yourself, let's talk about basic services. Houses and most other structures will accumulate risks over time. There is a risk of fire, which is only threat in the desert and central climates. We are currently in the central provinces, and as such, there is fire risk accumulating as we speak. To prevent fires breaking out in our city, we will need to employ prefects who will patrol the streets and discipline people on the basics of fire prevention and ensure safety. Any building, such as prefecture, will require employees to work in it, as well as a road access on any of its sides. Upon constructing a prefecture, citizen will head out to find housing for labor. You spot him by wearing a brown tunic. The more time he spends walking by houses, the better access to employees the building will have. This is vital for building to operate properly. When the prefecture is functional, you will be able to see red flag hoisted over its top. Feel free to right-click on any citizens or buildings to open their interface, which tells you their needs and thoughts on the city. When the prefecture acquires access to employees, it will send a prefect out on regular patrols on the streets. The patrolling prefect and other similar walkers will respect the road layout and obey any settings designated in roadblocks. Walkers will provide their related service, such as prevention of fire, 2 tiles away from a road they are patrolling on. Just misclicked. Patrolling on, yeah, that's it. So that's the 2 tiles, we showed that with the arrow, and then roadblocks, his red arrow cannot go there, and then blue, that's where he comes from, and that's his patrol pattern. An exception to this behavior is when a fire breaks out, or there are enemies nearby. When such situations occur, you will see prefects going off their patrol route, including off-road, to combat the fires or engage enemies. Prefects are not competent fighters, as they are not trained or equipped to go head-to-head with invading armies. However, they can still delay the enemy and help your defenses hold the line. Fortunately, you don't need to worry about military matters in this assignment. Since we are speaking about this matter, there's been an oversight while planning the road layout. The extra street added on top right side will likely, and this is bottom right side, because this was a different map before, so I need to change that. Probably, I'm gonna keep adding to my to-do list so I don't forget. Tutorial. Mission 1, we had mergers no longer necessary to explain as checkerboard. And roadblock is bottom right side, not top. There you go. Since you're speaking of this matter, there's been oversight planning the road layout. The extra street added on bottom right side will likely cause the patrol pattern of our workers to become unreliable and inconsistently cover the housing area. Yeah, it needs to be the bottom one. I'll change that when we make the new assets. If you wish to improve this situation, you can place a roadblock on the road tile to restrict patrol routes, or remove the extra street entirely by using the clear land tool. This can be confirmed using path preview by clicking on a building if you have the setting to preview roaming walker paths enabled in the user interface settings. So when I place the roadblock, it no longer displays it as being covered. When planning your future areas of housing, industry or farming, try to avoid having intersections such as this one to prevent accumulation of risks. After you place a prefecture or two within your housing area, you will also want to construct an engineer's post. Engineers prevent the risk of collapse from structural damage to buildings in their patrol area. If you're curious about accumulation of risks, you can click through related overlays in the top right corner, not left corner. It's a mistake. I'm gonna add that to the list. Top left corner for the overlay. There you go. Feel free to click through related overlays in the top right corner of the control panel. Didn't I talk about the pillars? I think I might in the extra information section. Reward 1509 added to city funds. Roads, clear land, repairs, roadblocks, engineers posts and prefectures unlocked. New objective: place and staff at least one engineer's post, and 2 prefectures. It is recommended you also build a roadblock or remove the jutting out section of road that is creating unwanted intersection in the bottom side of your housing block. Additional information. Roaming walkers' behavior. To understand why 22x6 or 24x8, counting the roads block, works well, you need to understand the behavior of roaming walkers in even more detail. So again, this is extra information. This is not strictly necessary to read, but I do need to talk about this because it's a common question. A lot of people don't like, they could build this because they watched me do it or they listen to me talk about it, but they don't know why they're building it, and we are kind of trying to solve that because not only should you, like, obviously if you want to play efficiently, make nice things or good things that work, but you should know why you're making them, which is, I think, even more important, because then you can put that concept to real work. Or did we stop? Understand the roaming walkers in even more detail. Let us take it step by step, but nothing is it's unnecessary to know all the things in the extra info. Note that that's some oversight. Note that in the 20x6 explanation text. So note that it's unnecessary to know all the things in the extra information sections, especially if you intend to just play the original campaign or city construction case scenarios. So step 1, walker is spawned. Step 2, walker starts heading down a direction following a road network. Step 3, walker reaches its limit and wants to return to its point of origin to despawn. Step 4, the shortest path to come back to its origin point is to cover the rest of the loop, ensuring consistent coverage. So that's why 22x6 works, because you build a building. It's best to do it like this. So let's say we have a prefect. This guy's gonna spawn and he's gonna head down this way, right? He goes, and then he reaches here, and then, oh, I want to go back home to despawn. But the shortest path is to actually go this way instead of returning, which is why it works so well. So that's what that is trying to explain. It's a bit difficult to explain it with just text. We'll probably add some more pictures to it if possible. Extra information. If the block was longer or wider, it could result in the walker in step 3 to evaluate that he should backtrack instead of covering the rest of the road layout, resulting in a much shorter effective service range. So if it was wider, he could instead say, no, I'm not gonna go this way anymore. I want to go back, so from here he would backtrack and this would not be covered this side. So that's why that works and how it works exactly. The reason why more than just one prefecture is built is because prefects may get delayed during the patrols dealing with criminals, thus resulting in fire risk accumulating higher than normal, even with a solid walker pattern. So yeah, that's why you have one engineer and 2 prefects usually, is that the engineer will not get stuck with criminals, but if a prefect is coming around and there's even one criminal, he's gonna stop to fight him, meaning that he could then recalculate and return, but also just delay him, and the fire risk will increase while he's fighting the criminal, and that can eventually result to fire, depending on your crime and sentiment. For this reason, it's usually necessary to keep at least 2 prefectures per 20x6 block of housing in a central climate. In desert climates, you may consider up to 4 prefectures per block, while in northern climates, fire risk does not occur and thus prefecture can be omitted. This is possible since crime is a sign of poor conditions and sentiment, and such repression won't solve the issue. Prefects can stop criminals from looting buildings, but the best way to handle crime is to provide what people demand or increase sentiment with other means. This will be explained further in the second scenario of the tutorial. Crime, sentiment, city health, and religion have been disabled for this implication purposes and will become factor later on. Overlays. You can consult the risk overlay in the top right corner of the screen. Display pillars show values that can rise or fall over time. There are many other overlays available, many of which can be used later. Unconventional but common use of an overlay is to use it to minimize larger buildings to their footprint, allowing you to see behind them more easily. When a building succumbs to fire or collapse, it leaves behind the ruins, which can be removed or rebuilt. For easier rebuilding, one can use the repair draggable action from the clear line section or individually rebuild structures from their ruins by right-clicking its ruin tile and using the UI option. Roaming walkers can walk across ruins in the stage of returning to their building to despawn. It's often recommended to clear or repair any ruins that happen to be in the area to ensure consistent walker coverage. Roadblocks. Roadblocks will stop roaming walkers from crossing over them. You can designate which roaming walkers can pass through by right-clicking and using the permission settings. Intersections give roaming walkers a choice of which direction to go in. And since it's seemingly random, it's not advised. Try to avoid creating intersections when designing new roads when possible. This is especially important within designated housing areas, since there will be many walkers whose paths could be negatively affected. Roadblocks can specify which roaming walker types they allow to pass through them. You can use this to your advantage when it's necessary for some walkers to access other areas of the road network beyond their normal area. Another very useful Augustus setting is preview path traveled by roaming walkers, which will show a preview of the walker range of a building prior to placing it. This is very useful when designing new housing blocks to check the reach of services. Hotkeys. You can use Augustus hotkey settings to assign hotkey or use default ones. For often used selections such as roads, prefectures, engineers posts, as well as copy the object under your cursor, which can save a lot of time and clicks. It's often a good idea to have the game paused or run at low speed. So all these things, like I've had someone test this and they asked, oh, why do you explain time? And it's explained, it's just extra because it's not strictly necessary. All that I'm reading here, it's important, yes, but it's not strictly necessary. So it's down here, you have to read it. If you don't read it, then don't have stupid questions, because it's here, okay? Where was I? It's often a good idea to have the game paused or run at low speed when you are building a new area or exploring the map. Game time can pass quite quickly, which can lead to unwanted progress depending on the assignment in question. You can also assign hotkey for managing speed and pause. Take time to review the hotkeys and make your city building a little easier. The prefecture can be found in the Security Structures tab, indicated by a sword icon, while the Engineer's post can be found in the Engineering Structures tab, signified by a hammer icon. Roadblocks can be found under Build Roads tab, signified by a road icon. Labor access. If you find the system of labor-seeking workers to be bothersome, you can use the Enable Global Labor Pool in the game settings, which allows any building with road access to automatically access all available workers in your city without the need for labor seekers walking by houses. Other ways to deal with providing labor access will be explained as they become relevant in the future. So that was one hell of a message. Fortunately, most of it is optional, as I said. So let's just cut this section off. Let's make another prefect somewhere down here. Let's get an engineer's post, and that's it. So we'll build these things that the game asks for. They become available, and immediately we get the objective because we've done everything. Commerce and industry, producing resources. Well done, Governor. With risks covered, we can focus on another aspect of city management. You might have noticed that we have high unemployment in our city. If unemployment is high enough, you will see beggars and criminals in the city streets. You can use workers available to produce goods for trade, profits from which will fuel city's early expansion. Go over to the Empire map, which you will find on the right side of the screen, and select the city with a red flag. It is Mediolanum, which would happily buy iron that can be produced locally in our city. This trade route is a land trade route and will send trade caravans to buy goods they demand, such as iron. When you select the city, you will be able to see the total quota this trade route is willing to buy or sell to us on a yearly basis. To interpret the quota, you will need to grasp the production rates of certain buildings so you know how much to produce to fulfill this yearly amount. Note that some maps feature events that expand or shrink the available quota specific cities are willing to buy or sell, as well as events that open completely new cities from time to time. You will be notified about any such changes via in-game messages notifications. That's possible because it got randomized, and I don't agree it should be randomized. These new icons, you know how they should be implemented? They should be options. So any map that did not use them should keep not using them, and only new maps should be in the editor that Zephyrx made. You could go there and like, oh, I want this city to look different, and so you click it and you select an option from the drop-down menu. And that's how I would do it, but not, oh, let's just make random cities look different because we can. I don't. No, Peshirex is not here, so we speak only well about the deceased. It's fine. We've got a new boy in the mines. I think you are up to the challenge, right? You can just take over, and not gonna be any downtime or anything like that. I have things that I need done. Anyway. To interpret the quota, need to crowd the production rates, yeah. Yep. Increasing, so that's the message that quota has been changed. Single Iron Man can produce 9.6 cartloads of iron annually, assuming there are no logistical delays or worker shortages. This is also the case for most raw resource production buildings. This can be an important aspect of managing your trade, as bulk goods such as iron can have a quota that is hard or impossible to fulfill annually at first. This is due to each caravan only being able to carry up to 8 cartloads of exports and sell 8 cartloads of imported goods before it needs to leave the map. Note that caravans can travel off-road to reach their destination that allows them to access and as resources they are willing to buy or space for imports they sell. To make the best use of this information, it would be prudent to set up our trade warehouse to accept iron somewhere along the road from Rome to access iron to the Empire. This will reduce the amount of time caravans spend traveling on the map and therefore increase the maximum throughput of goods that can be traded. When you have familiarized yourself with the trade route, click the pay the fee to open trade route and begin trading. This action will take away funds from your city's coffers. After this has been done, click on the vines icon at the bottom right corner of the Empire map screen, which will take you directly to the Trade Advisor. From there, find iron in the resource list and select it. Set its exports to be allowed for over 0 cartloads, making sure that there are no stockpiles of iron reserved in the city, and all can be used for trading. Resources are generally only be able to extract it in specific areas of the map. Iron, stone, and marble can only be mined from areas adjacent to rocks and mountains. Note that cliffs such as those in the western part of the map are not exploitable for mining resources. Conveniently, such a rocky area is to be found nearby. You can identify by looking for crossroads in the northern section of the map. For the new industrial area to function, you will need to provide it with access to labor. As previously mentioned, any housing placed within the area will provide access to employees, but it's not necessary for all the workers to live nearby. For this reason, inventive governors will often employ the use of so-called feeder houses, a single house or a very small housing area dedicated to providing labor access to faraway industrial farming areas of the map. Alternatively, since your housing block is nearby, you can use a road layout along a row of houses on the outside of your housing block to provide employment access to the whole trade area. Alternatively, feel free to use the global labor pool setting in the difficulty options menu. Most players choose to play with the setting on, as the labor seeker mechanic can be frustrating to deal with. Labor access, so it taps the side of the block there. These houses get access to services and water from inside. You evolve them however you want, and then people from here would go here and get access. So this is one of the reasons why no GLP means nothing, because you can trivialize it if you want anyway. You just do this, or you place a feeder. It's not like it completely revolutionizes how you make things. As mentioned, logistical delays can cause production rates in mines or other production buildings to be slower than they could be. To avoid this, make sure to place iron mines and warehouses on the same road layout and preferably close together. Once production is complete, a carter from the mine will deliver the iron to a warehouse which accepts it within the same road layout. If you select an iron mine, it will tell you its approximate efficiency. Alternatively, you can also monitor the carter has returned in time to collect next batch of iron to take it to the warehouse, or if there is iron ready but the carter is still busy elsewhere. So this is quite vital. The maximum distance between the raw resource production structure, such as iron mines, and its delivered destination is 33 tiles to retain 100% efficiency. So this is visualized distance of 33 tiles. Upon constructing a warehouse, right-click to open its building menu and then click the special orders button set to accept iron. Each warehouse or granary can hold up to 32 units of goods at once. However, it can be used to store multiple kinds of goods by using special orders. Lastly, the icon buttons above the special orders allow caravans to interact with the warehouse. So that's the permissions. Very important. Funds from trade are added to the city coffers immediately when traders buy the goods from a warehouse. The same applies when you buy imported goods. If you want to see prices of different goods, you can check the Trade Advisor screen by clicking on the Advisors button on the right side of the right side next to the Empire Map button, selecting the Trade Advisor, and click on the Show Prices button in the bottom left. Processed goods are generally more valuable than raw resources, but also require additional labor due to needing workshops to process them. Most cities will have to import at least some goods, as it is very rare to see all resources available locally. Show prices, and I think this should say on the right side, not left side. Trade Advisor prices, right side. There you go. Okay. Reward 1000 denarii acquired, unlocked warehouses and iron mines. New resource unlocked, iron. New objective. Your next objective is to build and staff 10 iron mines and a warehouse. Open trader to Mediolanum and sell at least 50 out of the maximum 96 exports of iron to Mediolanum in 1 year. So we need to export 50 iron in 1 year to fulfill this. By the way, until later, we don't get religion or health or sentiment be a problem, so that we don't explode from this or not having, health or anything, because normally you would already kind of have those kind of issues. But this is a tutorial, we need to explain it slowly. I need to take a very short break and I'll be right back. So one thing that I'll mention is that obviously if you don't want to read this much, as the intro said, you can always scroll down, even as a player who's new, if they don't want to read all this, because it's a lot of text, but obviously it's, you know, I try to visually explain what I'm talking about. It's a lot of this is absolutely vital to know. But if you don't want to read that, then you can scroll down, see reward, very short sentence, what you got, and this is what you need. And that's essentially everything above condensed. So there is multiple ways to kind of go around it, and one way is to just, oh, I don't want to read, so skip to this, and oh, I need to do that. Okay, I can figure that out, and just go and try to find it yourself. You don't need to read all that if you don't want to. But for people who care about the information, it's there. And then for people who want even more information, there is the additional information section. So in the additional information, amounts of caravans shipped single city can send on the map is at the same time. If it's 0 up to 60 total quota, it sends 1 caravan or ship. If it's 60 to 120, it's 2, and 120 plus sends 3. Additional production rates. Sand produces at 14.4 cartloads per year. Peak efficiency. Marble produces 4.8, and gold is 2.4. Debt. A portion of the annual profits from trade and taxes collected are sent at the end of December as tribute to the emperor. You can see its summary for the current and previous year on the financial advisor screen. If the city runs out of funds for the first time, it will be given a one-time bailout from the emperor to allow for putting the city's economy back on track. Subsequent debts will cause loss of favor or esteem with the emperor. If the city is in debt, tribute will not be paid at the end of the year, which causes further favor loss. If a city is in debt of 5,000 denarii or more, it will run out of credit, and it will be impossible to construct further buildings until the financial situation improves. Debt incurs interest of an annual rate of 10%. If your city is in debt for prolonged periods of time, your favor can collapse suddenly to 10 points. When favor drops to 10 for any reason, the emperor will order your arrest and send one of his generals with an army to depose you, to bring you to Rome in chains. It is important to try and avoid prolonged periods of debt as much as possible and fulfill any requests for goods and money from the emperor for a favor boost. Additionally, it is often a good idea to use some of your personal savings in the salary to send gifts to the emperor. The best effect can be achieved if you send a gift every 12 months and use larger gifts. The gifts cost scale with amounts of savings above 200 denarii that you have saved up. In the first assignment, you'll need not worry about favor rating or debt, as there is a safety net preventing excessive debt or favor collapse from occurring. So what that means is that even if you try to go into debt or die in this mission, you can't die. Even if you want to, it's not possible. So, you know, I do explain it since it's extra info, but essentially, if you try to go today, you will constantly get bailout money, and then it's not even spam, it's just gonna be adding money without messages. And then once that happens, even if you somehow got a ton of debt, like building garden over the whole map or something, like getting minus 90,000 denarii, it would take a while to get back, you would still be getting favor constantly. So it's impossible to get invaded or die. Efficiency tips. When constructing a warehouse, cargoes and caravans will prefer to interact with a tile that has a roof over it. If possible, you can also rotate the warehouse by pressing the R key. Often it's better to slightly overproduce trade goods rather than underproduce them, especially later with food production. Exact calculations are not strictly necessary, but it's better to go with a rough estimate and expand production when you notice stock running low due to population increasing or trade quota expansion. Later you will learn about the ways to expand the maximum possible caravan or trade ship throughput per year via monuments and highways. But for now, this basic knowledge should suffice. Need to update the route section. Yeah, it's now required, I know. I'm gonna add that. Roof section of the warehouse now mandatory in the trade message map 1. Oh, this is gonna be annoying to change all these small things, but I'm gonna have to do it at some point. At least we do have the maps kinda ready, so this is the like kinda the victory lap, more or less. Okay, so we've got our objectives. It also says up here if you somehow forgot or you just don't want to read, it's here. So let's take our houses. I'm gonna make more, just in case. And let's check the map. So we go across here. We can get rid of that. We will have timber for local production as well, but for now we don't really care about that too much. I'm just gonna use some of this iron, some of these rocks here for iron. And let's get a warehouse. I'm gonna plan it with a highway in mind, but first let's build the iron mines themselves. So we want 10 for the quota, but I'm gonna make slightly more. So it's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Because we want that quota fulfilled more quickly. It's not really necessary, but I just don't want to wait. And we need to figure out where do we want to place the warehouse, and I think we want to place it right there. Keep in mind that we want to put 2 more iron mines here later, so let's keep that space open. Then hug these mines with the road. We could possibly do something like... well, not there. If we do it here, that's a space for a prefect. And that's a space for an engineer. There you go. Let's use zero block. We'll be using global labor pool, by the way. It's, you can use it. If you don't want to, then as the message said, you should use seekers. Or you could put houses on this side, make the mines here, and take the labor access like that with a road coming and tapping the side of those houses. Could do that, as the message explained. So let's put down the prefect and engineer. This thing needs to accept only traders and requests. And let's get some iron, full warehouse of iron. I also don't want this road. I know that they don't follow it when I have the setting, so they don't do retarded things anymore, the traders, but I still don't trust it and I don't like it being here. So I want to know what I'm working with. So we've built the mines, we've built the warehouse, it counts it immediately. We're gonna wait for some iron to be here before we open that route, because otherwise it's pointless to have it open. There's one. Can already open this. Mediolanum. Let's open it. Sell some of that. There's also Camodunum. I think I should, let me add a note. Map 1, lock other trade routes until first iron objective is complete. This is so that someone doesn't open a different route and then, oh, why is it not counting? Because you are selling it to a different trade route. So we'll change that. So some iron is there, now traders should arrive. I don't even have that setting on, as I think if you're stupid to not get it, you're interconnecting your city, you should suffer from it. Yeah, but also, you know, it is very counterintuitive. But interconnecting the city is awful. But we know that some people love to do that, so that setting is more for them than for anyone else, really. So, by the way, this is quite deliberate. We are making money before we feed people or even give them water, because with this kind of block, I still have labor surplus. We don't need more workers and we can comfortably supply some industry already. This is very deliberate because you want to do this in most maps. Of course, you would have temples and you would have health, but that's too complex. So that's gonna be done a little bit later. Once they buy a little bit of iron, I think they will be getting an objective. Healthcare. Providing healthcare. While we wait for the traders to buy up all the required iron, let us focus on another matter. Thus far I've been keeping another crucial service out of your concerns, but now it's time to delve into providing healthcare for your citizens. Keep in mind that in future assignments, matters such as healthcare and religion will be explained, which will be explained later, must be taken care of before you start to think about trade. However, in order to not overwhelm you with duties, it has been decided to introduce you to your duties gradually. Our citizens in small tents are currently living in squalid conditions. This will eventually lead to disease breaking out, and if severe enough, the fumigations or controlled fires that are used to prevent the spread of disease. Such fires do not spread and are not extinguished by prefects. The only solution is to let the fires die and rebuild afterwards. You can remove ruins by using the clear land tool or repair tool. To avoid suffering from such issues, every city will need doctors, barbers, and a bathhouse providing basic sanitation services to its citizens. Bathhouse is a special requirement for it to function. It needs access to underground piping from a reservoir. While the reservoir itself will require access to fresh water, which can bring over from places where it's needed via aqueduct system. Fortunately, Roman engineers left a suitable reservoir next to the housing area for you to utilize. Do not worry if you wish to redesign the aqueduct system later. I will allow you to do so when the time is right. When you hover the bathhouse over an area that the reservoir, it will show it filled with water if it has access to the piping in that area. Alternatively, you can use the water overlay to see its reach and then place the bathhouse within it. Yeah, so that's how that works. You can expect these employees to work in much the same manner as prefects and engineers, setting out roaming worker provided service. Doctors, barbers, bathhouses, and later hospitals found under healthcare related structures tab. Note that at this point onwards, health mechanic is in full effect and it is up to you to manage it. We unlocked doctors, barbers, bathhouse. Yeah, you see the reach, I think. So it's yeah. I'll see. Construct and staff at least one doctor, barber, and bathhouse within the housing block area. City and house health rating. The risk of disease, if left unchecked, will cause the incidence of plague to break out. Fumigations or prescribed burning of the affected houses will occur to prevent its spread. These fires will not spread, nor will they be extinguished by a prefect, and can be seen as having a skull displayed over the burning ruin. After a while, the site will burn out and housing can be rebuilt. The health of each house is determined by its individual conditions and service access. You can see the global average health of all houses if you select the Visit Your City Advices button on the right side of the building icons. Then you can select the Health Advisor to see the value and active services within the city by category. Health ratings are also tied to the total population of your city. The larger the city, the harder it will be to have your people live in squalid conditions, even with excellent service coverage. A higher evolved housing, feeding extra food types, or having mausoleum monuments later will boost the health rating of houses within the city. You can now also see your house rating here, health rating here, which is this number, the 48, which is new. So maybe I should add that. Is it always here, or do you need to do a setting to enable this new UI? I don't know, because if it's not shown by default, then I shouldn't talk about that. Health ratings are also tied to total population of a city. Yeah. We read that. Regarding health and other mechanics such as sentiment, it is far too complex to go into every detail here. If you are interested in the numbers and modifiers, feel free to read the Augustus manual or watch feature breakdown videos. Of course, we have a video on everything, even that. So we have two objectives. It's a setting that is on by default. Okay, so I should talk about that. Health rating displayed also at right top of the screen. Okay, so we got our objective. Let's take the bath. Also, the water range is now displayed. Is this also by default, by the way, the bathhouse, the piping? Is it on by default or not? Because if it's on by default, I should also talk about it. If not, then we shouldn't. Yes, okay. So I'm gonna go and add that as well. Piping from reservoir now shown when hovering any structure that requires it. Okay. Great. So we got a barber, bathhouse, and doctor as the map asked for. We're exporting the iron. Hopefully we make enough. I could make a little more. 16. It's a bit of an overkill, but we'll need it. There is always more trade and we need weapons later anyway. And I really want to get this objective done this year, hopefully. Could build a highway. No, we can't yet. Okay. and we can't have any riots or crime, even if we get a bunch of extra people like this. So that's also intentional, because we will need to use these workers for farming. Food and water. Well done, Governor. Our city is now earning a profit from trade and providing some jobs to its citizens. You might have noticed that we have not provided food or water services for our citizens. This is vital, as doing so would result in early overpopulation without sufficient jobs to keep people's sentiment in check, and without any income to speak of, our city would fall into bankruptcy. Now that we've taken care of these two core issues, however, it is time to think about further expansion. Whereas such as exporting iron, we should have sufficient income to fund further development and construction. You can identify fertile land that is suitable for farming by the yellow tufts on the surface of the soil. When constructing a farm, only part of it needs to be placed adjacent to the fertile land. This does not impact its production rate in any way. As long as the farm can be built, its production will remain the same regardless of whether it is placed in the middle of a fertile area or on its outskirts. Local land is suitable for cultivation of wheat. Since your city lies in the central provinces, it will produce abundant harvests, double its normal output, which is also the case in desert climate. Check the extra information section at the bottom to exact production rates for farming goods. This does also mean, however, that wheat farms are doubly as sensitive to logistical travel delays, as its carters need to ensure harvests are stored close by in order to pick up further deliveries as fast as the farms can produce them. Build at least 8 wheat farms on the fertile land and connect them with a road network. Do not forget to solve their need for prevention of risks and providing access to labor. After this is done, construct a granary near the farms to store the harvested wheat crops for further use. Note that the distance to the granary matters in the same manner as discussed in relation to the logistics of your iron mines. Generally, traveling distances greater than 16 tiles for wheat farms will result in lower production rates. Granary is a special structure since it allows for passage of people underneath it in the middle tiles, and thus can be used as a crossroads or a path through it. If the fertile land proves insufficient for your needs, you might need to invest in the low bridge, which would allow you to access the other more fertile bank of the river. Bridges can only be built on straight coastline on both sides of the river. Such places can be rare if the water is more than 2 tiles wide and the coastline is straight. It will allow for low bridge construction. Structures cut off from the rest of the city by a river, trees, or other terrain will not be able to populate with workers. This is why building a bridge in this instance might be vital for expansion. Since the farms and other structures will require more workers, you should consider providing water to your citizens. This will ensure they are able to evolve from small tents to large tents. Each evolution step expands the total population of a house by 4, or for a 2x2 house, and 1 for 1x1 house. When constructing fountains, it will display its water range. In central and northern provinces, this range is 4 tiles in each direction from it. You also do not need to worry about the fountains being enclosed from the road to Rome. It is one of the few rare structures which can be placed in enclosed areas and still acquire labor and function without issues. When hovering a fountain over an area with plumbing access provided by a nearby reservoir, which is needed for it to operate, it will display the fountain as filled with water. If you need to bring more water inland, you can use aqueducts to connect reservoirs to each other in order for water to be brought further distances. When placing aqueducts, be mindful that they act as a barrier to people in the area. To prevent issues of logistics or cutting off your city from the road to Rome, consider placing a road tile on top of an aqueduct to create a passage. Generally, it is advised to use reservoirs to cover the block with underground plumbing access and then place fountains. You might have noticed our block has 2 tiles of empty space in the middle. This space is perfect for placing fountains that cover many houses. You can expect the average block to require around 3 fountains to cover all the houses. Note that only a single tile of each house needs to be provided with water from it to receive its benefits. Furthermore, do not concern yourself too much with the costs of labor related to water services. Only 4 employees are necessary to staff each fountain, and it's often a tiny fraction compared to providing other goods or services. If you still struggle to employ your citizens, you can now also expand into exports of timber to another city in the empire. Keeping unemployment rate under control is vital for any city to keep public order under control and the finances flowing. Reward: we acquired 1500 denarii. Reservoirs, aqueducts, fountains, wells, latrines, and low bridges are now unlocked. New resources unlocked: wheat and timber. New objective. Our next objective is to evolve at least 25 houses to large tents, construct and staff 8 wheat farms, 1 granary, and stockpile 32 cartloads of wheat. Okay, so we know what to do. Let's take fountains. Let's give our people water. Not there. There. Okay, and now we want the farms. So I think that there is a mistake with if the farmland is insufficient. Farmland is now always behind a bridge, because that's worded differently because the map looked different before. So let's do that. Let's take a low bridge, put it somewhere here. We could have planned this area first, but doesn't matter. Just clear all this. Got ample funds, so we don't need to worry about that too much. Let's get some farms. We need 8, which should be more than enough. 4, 8, 10. That's enough. Let's check the granary. I'll put the granary somewhere central. Doesn't matter if we waste fertile land. That is ample on this map. Maybe I should note that. Maybe note that building on fertile land is sometimes not a concern. There you go. We'll want a depot, but we don't have access to car depots yet. Let's put an engineer there, prefect, and then a second prefect here. This thing will accept wheat. Some fertile land on the mainland on the left side. Oh yeah, that's right. You're not wrong. But it's very far away, so I assume that people wouldn't necessarily build there. But technically you could. So I guess it's fine. Also, these houses do not evolve because we need religion, but we still have the tents. Or religion, but they need desirability, which is religion will give us the early boost to that. We still will have unemployment, so I'll build a warehouse for timber. Let's get some timber. Do we have highways? Not yet. Worship needs. While we wait for the wheat to be stockpiled, I have another crucial task to entrust to you, Governor. There is an urgent need for worshipping of gods, which needs to be tended to. Roman gods need to be given proper respect and places for worship, even in fledgling cities, to avoid their wrath. Much like providing healthcare, this task should have been taken care of early. Otherwise, your colony would not have survived thus far. Due to the nature of the task, it has been postponed in order for you to gradually learn your duties. Each of the 5 gods will acquire their own small temple at the start. Each temple can reasonably accommodate the worship needs of 750 citizens in the city for that specific deity. Temples do not, however, need direct access to all housing in the city. Dedicated area for placing temples can be useful to preserve space, which can be done in an otherwise useless part of the map. Note that houses will require access to priests of at least 1 god later down the line in order for them to achieve higher evolution levels. If any of the gods are happy with the worship capacity within the city, they may bless the city by providing additional benefits. However, be wary, they are also jealous and do not take kindly to cities which prioritize 1 god over the others. Note that from this point onwards, the god effects mechanic is in full effect, and it's up to you to manage it. We got small temples, Lararia, and altars, construction staff, at least 15 small temples, preferably 3 to each god. Additional information: Lararia provide the city with 10 worship capacity for all gods at once. Do not cost any workers or levy, but are expensive and accumulate risk of fire and collapse. Altars provide 50 worship capacity to the city for that specific deity. Do not cost any workers or levy, but are expensive and accumulate risk of fire and collapse. Due to the nature of these buildings, they are usually not worth investing on their own, but can complement housing areas where 1x1 spaces are left, such as behind prefectures or other 1x1 service buildings, as they significantly boost desirability of an area, which will be touched upon later. Religion advisor temples can be selected from the religious structures tab, and you can view how each god's feeling about the total number of temples to each by selecting the religious advisor button in your advisor's window. Levies. Temples and certain other structures have a need for upkeep or levy, which you can see in the building's UI after selecting it on in the financial advisor window under building levies category. Small temples are generally not levy and space worker efficient solution long term, but advanced religious structures are not within the scope of this assignment, so they are your best choice. Yeah, the Granite Path preview is still fucked. If you could fix that, would be great. So let's get Venus here, and I'll get the other temples in this block as well. We will have ample space. We'll only go to small casa anyway, so might as well have all the temples here, and they give some free desirability. And then, since we will be building more, we need 3 sets. We might as well build them on the other side of this. For free desirability, but also this space is kind of worthless to me unless we want to mass build workshops. This is fine. If you wanted labor access, you would put a road here and then put this like that, so that the walkers go down here and seek from that. But we don't need to worry about that, so just make the temples. Because this mission is the first one and it's very simple, and it will ask for 2 blocks, but only small casa, because I want to explain how goods work in the second mission. It would be too much. Yeah, but that was ages ago, and I decided to split it into 3 different missions, so that we have that kind of thing going on, because these basics, they are very different from the things that you need to know about patricians and stuff, so I split it, essentially. Is that the best decision? I don't know. We'll have to find out later what people think. I personally think that it's fine to keep it at small casa. I do feel like it's a low level. I'd like it to be higher, but there is already enough here. Markets and desirability. Well done, Governor. Now that we have stockpiles of wheat, let us finally feed our citizens. In order for us to do so, we will need to construct a market within a housing block. When constructing markets, places with as short distance as possible to the granary in our farming area are preferable, as distance affects how many market ladies will be able to bring food to the market to be distributed. A market is a special structure, since it will not only send out a roaming market lady to distribute food to houses, in much the same manner as other walkers you have seen thus far, but it will be our first introduction to a new kind of citizen walker, a destination walker, called as such, since unlike the patrolling walkers, it has a destination. In this case, it is the granary with food in it. In a way, you can think of it like the carriers who deliver iron from the mines, who deliver code from the code mines to the Augustus project. Yeah. To the warehouse. Don't forget to enable market lady access to the granary in the granary panel. Yep. Destination walkers need access from their point of origin to the destination, but along their way they can pass through roadblocks. With this knowledge, it should be simple to construct a road from your housing block connecting to the farming granary you have built. Yeah. To ensure smooth patrolling of our prefects and engineers, it is advised to use roadblocks where intersections would cause their parents to become unreliable. So a roadblock of the section which is in the middle, you know, if you want to connect the block, you could. This is a relatively safe distance, but obviously it would be better to use a depot for this. For easy visualization of the walker patterns, it is advised to use the preview path traveled by roaming walkers. Hello, Sergio, welcome. Setting, which can be found under the user interface settings panel at the bottom of the list. Augustus configuration options preview. Yeah, we talked about this for 3 times.
I want to be a lion tamer.
Thanks for the follow, by the way. And I need to... Just give me a sec. There you go. Should have a VIP now. Oh, you do. Great. Or use the bridge as a roadblock. Yeah, because now everything and their mother is a roadblock. I forgot. This part probably needs reworking since the block location isn't near enough to grab from the granary new image. It technically is if you build the granary a bit closer. Cedric, when testing it, did this and he didn't need the depot and it worked fine. But yeah, if you want 100% efficiency, it wouldn't really work, but we can rework it. I'll add a note. Farming distance no longer conducive to markets grabbing. Even though we should maybe make it so, because reasons. Oh yeah, sorry. I have a new mouse and a keyboard, meaning that my mic is capturing some of that. Previously, I had a silent one and it was much better, but you know, we're working kind of from improvised conditions here. So, yeah. Oh, you are welcome, Sujuk. I really enjoyed your take on it, especially since you are new to the Augustus mode. It provides such a new take. There is the second map and the third map now ready to be played, by the way. It's in the Discord. But obviously no pressure, I know you're a busy man. So if you felt like it, whenever you had the time, feel free to. Also, we will have some of the message corrections for the tutorial. If you wanted to help out with providing your 2 cents on it, we could do that. Matt here, BMW is doing corrections for me. He's done it for the RC, really valuable member of the community for me, and he's done such a great job. However, I feel like we could use an extra pair of eyes, as I said. So maybe we could also do that for the tutorial messages once it's ready. Right now, I'm figuring out with the testing the small adjustments that I need to do in order for these to make sense, because there are still some adjustments I need to do, as well as generate assets for these, because we still have some outdated assets for this, and the second and third map don't have assets really, so that's a problem. And I had someone on it, however they are taking too long, and since it's not like it's obligatory, I'm just gonna have to do it myself at some point. It's not gonna be as high quality, but at least it will be done. We can always make better ones later if someone shows up who's cool enough. It is technically introduced already, the car depot, it will be said in this message, but it is optional, because as it should be, I think. Well, is it gonna be right now? Staff markets, houses evolved? I don't know if the depot shows up, we'll see. Forgot. Okay, sounds good. If you have set everything up correctly, you will soon be able to observe 2 different walkers. Market ladies with green skirts will be roaming around the block and providing food from the market inventory to houses along their path. The second walker type are market ladies with orange skirts, which will head to the granary to pick up food. You can then observe children following her with baskets ready for distribution to the houses as she heads back to the market. If your farming granary is built further away, do not worry, as it can be enough to simply add more markets to increase the amount of food that will be brought to the block. Most housing areas will have 2 or more markets. If you do not feel like building several more markets due to distance, there is a third option, available to industrious governors who are not afraid of planning logistic routes. There is the car depot. Sturdy oxen will be employed with carts to bring food from one specific granary or warehouse to another within the city. Car depots, carts do not require roads and are able to travel and can therefore go off-road. Their ability to bring goods in a controlled manner revolutionizes logistics of any Roman city. Make sure to place depots either at a near source or destination to eliminate downtimes for their carts. If the depot is close enough to either of them or is placed on the predicted path, there will be no added inefficiency. The car depot does bring with it its own costs in labor and upfront investment, however, so consider wisely how many you construct. If you wish to use a car depot, do not forget that about its need to prevent fire and collapse, as resetting its orders can provide bothersome to impatient governors unless you use the repair function. Yeah, I added that because now we can rebuild it with the orders, which is a huge lifesaver. Remember something like Sam's Massilia with 170 depots, and then you have an invasion and you lose like 15 depots all across the city, and good luck figuring out what every single one was doing, because sometimes you place them in places where it doesn't really make sense or make it obvious what they were doing. So suddenly your production chains break down because they no longer have the supply. Fun times. Now you can just, rebuild it with those settings. Before you build your first car depot, you will want to construct an additional granary, preferably as close to the housing block as possible to minimize the time it takes for market ladies to get the food from it. It is often preferable to build it in a separate area, however, as the granary is undesirable to its surroundings and takes up valuable space within the housing area. Upon building a car depot, you will need to set the orders. You will select the resource it is tasked with transporting, then you select the destination and a source. In other words, places where the goods are to be taken from and brought to. You can also set the depot to only bring goods once a certain amount has been stockpiled in the source or when stocks are running low at the destination. Car depot, this shows it how it should be set up. For ease of use, each granary has a number assigned to it, which relates to when it was built. Granaries and warehouses share their system, however, in your city. Warehouse 1 should be your iron warehouse, Granary 2 is your farming granary, and Granary 3 is your supply hub. Keep in mind that for the granary to show up in the car depot menu, it will need to be set to accept wheat as well. I've been doing so much talking, I just sound a bit sick. It's getting to me. I need a drink. Just give me a sec. Before I leave you to your task, let us briefly touch upon the subject of desirability. Each structure influences its surroundings. Buildings such as temples, gardens, and plaza, which can be built on top of existing roads, will improve the looks and feel of the nearby area, making it more desirable for houses sited in the area. Structures such as the granary will have undesirable effect on its immediate surroundings. Market is a rare exception when it's undesirable to live right next to a bustling market due to noise and commotion, but living at a convenient distance from it is beneficial. This is sort of reflected by its desirability. Adjacent houses will suffer a penalty while houses in convenient distance will benefit. Desirability is a requirement for some of the evolution steps of your houses. Surplus desirability also benefits sentiment in houses that receive it. For easy tracking of desirability, try out the desirability overlay on the top left corner of your screen. No need to be extremely meticulous about this, however. With enough plazas and gardens, even houses near a granary or a market should be able to achieve the evolution requirements. Effect of plaza. 1000 denarii acquired market status, gardens and car depots have been unlocked. New objective, have at least 2 active markets and 25 hovels in your city. Additional information. Each citizen with access to food in any given house will eat 6 units of a year, or 0.5 a month. This relates to market food units. which is cartloads times 100. So a farm producing wheat on a central map will produce 19.2 cartloads of wheat per year, which in market units is 1920 units of food, or enough to supply 320 people in the city. Vegetable farms produce 9.6 cartloads, which can be broken into 960 units of market food, enough to feed 160 people per year. Note that these numbers are not strictly necessary for a governor to be successful, but it's useful to get a rough estimate of your production and how many farms you should construct for a given area of housing to be fed. Note that upon first constructing a market, the first feeding cycle will take more food than might be estimated at first, leaving some houses without access to food for a while. This is due to houses stockpiling extra food to build up their pantry. After a while, the issue should be resolved. Interconnected city problems. Or open console, type show tooltip 4. This also lets you check desirability. Yeah, but do we want to tell that to people playing the tutorial? I don't think so. Interconnected city problems. It is often a good idea to not allow road connections to exist between faraway destinations the market ladies could go to, such as farming granary across the river. This can be also achieved by not allowing market ladies access to the granary, but if a road connection exists, it means that farm carriers might travel long distances to deliver the harvest, effectively crippling production output. We need to raise the new generation just to be fed into the meat grinder of SOM or Augustus project. Yeah, no, we need some new interns. Okay, supply hubs. Separate granary and warehouse can be used to store goods supplied via car depots and supply faraway areas while avoiding bad pathing and to ensure smooth logistics for ensuring goods and food that the population requires. Such areas are called supply hubs. If placed with forethought, a single supply hub can easily supply multiple housing areas or even entire cities at the same time. So, you could have a single granary supply 3 or more. I've done some cities which only use one. It's not that difficult even, you just need to think about it. This is extra information section, by the way, so it's not something that the players should even read. If they are completely new, they'll like, let's skip this section. It's more for people who wonder how it's done. This is done by picking a spot that is surrounded by available flat land around the hub itself to ensure future housing blocks have ready access to its goods and food without the need for travel. If a car depot is placed in an efficient manner, it can transport up to 48 cartloads of goods or 192 cartloads of food. This can be enough food for 3,200 population per year or enough goods to supply 200 houses per year. I would not like to use the word groom, but yeah, we need some new blood. And Johan is the example of the shining example of the new Department of Special Corrections program, because he's pretty young for what he's doing for us. He's probably like half as young as this game, but it's been a great help. House evolution. If you're unsure about a given house, what the given house needs to further evolve, you can find out by right-clicking on it and reading what the residents require. Some evolution levels are not possible to reach in this assignment. The maximum level attainable is small castle. Okay, so we know what we need to do. We can use markets, we need 2, and then we need to get hovels. But I'll be using a depot for sure. And this is gonna be the second one. Let's put down a granary. This one will get service access from the block itself, so no need to have what do I want to say? Yeah, prefect and engineer here, just yet, unless I want to put depots here. But I think we left some space here, so let's put these here. From granary 2 to granary 4. When there is more than 16, copy paste that setting. It is a voluntary thing. Nobody's paid. Nobody's forced to. Yeah. But, you know, it's probably sort of interesting for people to be part of the dev team, I think. So if they can code, this is kind of interesting for all the people who do play the game a ton. But obviously it can be very demanding. Yeah. The I can't imagine learning that. But, you know. The proper slave driver, smart makers will give you motivation. Good times. Okay, we need the markets. And I'll do a couple of altars. Let's get the overlay for native risk so I can see behind buildings better. Not Ceres again. Neptune, Mercury, Mars, and then Venus. This one is also 2 tiles away from a road, so it won't explode. We can add some desirability if we want. We don't have Plaza, even though I talked about Plaza. I probably should enable Plaza. Enable Plaza after farming. Objective is done. There you go. But we can, obviously, it's not a problem. We can just use other things, but since I talked about Plaza and I showed how good it is, we probably do want to use it. Let's get some trees in here. Let's enable market ladies here. Okay, this is being brought. We are evolving. Processed goods. While we wait for the houses to evolve, let us focus on expanding the economy in order to accommodate all the new workers, which will surely be attracted to our city now that our people have been given food. If we expand our iron production, we could process it into weapons in a workshop and sell these goods to Mediolanum or other cities in the Empire. Manufactured goods such as weapons can be sold at a higher value than raw materials, and when possible, this makes much more lucrative trading opportunity. If you wish, it is also possible to invest in processing of timber into furniture, which may spark the interest of other cities. Since you know most of the basics by now, I will cease to remind you to prevent risks and how to plan your logistical layouts in so much detail from now on. Reward: we unlocked highways, workshops for weapons and furniture, and we have a new objective, which is to construct and staff at least 8 weapons workshops. If you intend to export iron as well as weapons to Mediolanum, you might need to construct a highway leading from the road to Rome to the road to the Empire, mirroring where the trade caravans move through. Highways provide a speed of any units or caravans on them by 100%. They do cost levy and have a steep upfront cost, however, so consider their use wisely. This would mean that caravans trade and leave faster, making it possible for Mediolanum to trade increased amounts of their total quota per year from your city. Workshop production rates. As a rule, each mine or raw resource production structure can supply 2 workshops with raw materials if the distance isn't too far. This means that each workshop can take in and turn 4.8 cartloads of raw resources a year into their processed goods. Workshops never fetch materials with their own carriers, however, as this task falls upon carriers from either raw resource production directly or warehouses, with each warehouse having only one carter to deliver goods. You can expect the workshop carriers to await goods to be ready and then deliver them up to 66 tiles distance away in an effective manner without losing production efficiency. Manufacturing centers. If you wish to manufacture goods elsewhere and bring them back to trade, it is possible by using car depots, while warehouses will handle local deliveries. Often this means not connecting this area to other mines or workshops, otherwise the warehouse car will create massive delays. If one warehouse isn't enough in such an area, adding more than one fed with a depot is a viable option. Optimal, a single warehouse can supply around 14 workshops by itself with a proper placement and given necessary materials via car depots. Of course, you then need to prevent caravans from traveling to these warehouses to avoid prolonging the caravan's routes. As the faster caravans leave the map, the sooner fresh ones can arrive. There is an often neglected legacy feature called getting, available in a warehouse or a granary using its cart to fetch the goods. This is often unreliable since they see any accepting destination which holds the goods as an option, and a single cart transporting up to 4 units is much worse than using car depots. If it is still a feature worth mentioning, however, for example with granary, the carver is idle most of the time anyway, so using it to get some additional food can provide slight boost to food available in the location. Only foolish governors would rely on this, since oxen from car depots can overstack and form an effective buffer or queue of food or goods at the destination, assuring that the total available capacity is much higher than in practice than the 32 units in storage facility can physically hold. So as we can see, usually there would be this ox waiting here for more resources. So even if someone comes in and takes some of this, immediately there will be more. So effectively you have more storage than you would normally think. So we have access to workshops. Let's make some weapons workshops then. We need to do this. Also, we should build a warehouse with weapons. I'll do that here. And we will do a highway. Do we have money? Yeah, we have money. It's fine. I'd like to keep 2 tiles. Maybe connect it like this. It's fine. There you go. Cost us around 2.5 grand, but it should be pretty good. This thing needs to accept traders and weapons. And just make... We already produce more iron than Mediolanum can physically buy. So let me just get some more mines, because we can have another trader out as well. Let's get 4 more here. There is this road already, so we can use that. There's gonna be more mining around here. Let's connect it. If we remove that roadblock, it's a bit of a mess. We could cut it off, but I think I prefer to just kind of let it with 3 services. We should be good. And let's put in some more workshops on the outskirts around here. Do we have the labor? We don't, but people are moving in. What is our capacity? Extra for 300, but we have not evolved everyone yet. We could process furniture as well. Massive worker shortage, taxes and services. Aquila is rapidly developing into a true Roman settlement. The next step is to provide our citizens with access to proper entertainment venues and education. Further evolving your houses will mean more people can move in and will boost Aquila's prosperity rating. Build a school along with a theater within our housing area. We must ensure our citizens are educated and entertained for them to continue improving their living conditions. After you see dwellings of your citizens reach small casa, your final task will be to further expand Aquila industry and earn enough denarii to buy you a promotion for the next assignment. If you do not wish to rely just on trade, it is now also possible to construct a forum and start collection of taxes from housing. Keep in mind that people will be on the lookout for any potential issues with service coverage or food delivery and not take kindly to disruption. They expect their taxes to ensure their standard of living. If it is up to you to decide which areas to collect taxes from, or if they are to be collected at all. We unlocked theaters, forums, and schools. We have a new objective. We need 50,000 denarii. We need to get 30 prosperity, and we need to house 4,000 people. Taxes collected depend on several factors, including how many people live in each house. Your tax rate is set by a financial advisor. and by evolution level of the houses. Gameplay difficulty level affects how high of a tax rate people will tolerate before it negatively impacts sentiment. Generally, as you will learn later, only cities of very high prosperity can expect their taxes to cover wages or general expenses. Patricians pay higher taxes, but their needs are beyond the scope of this assignment. Housing levels of small insula gives tax boost to the houses in question, but they require pottery and more entertainment services, which we will discuss in future assignments. Sentiment. People have higher expectations of their quality of life as the population grows, and are jealous of the other houses in the city if their own evolution level does not match the average, resulting in potential public order issues. I think you lowered the population requirement for this map compared to when I tested it. Yeah, I did. You suggested 4K, I think. It is at 4K now, and it should be basically one block is like 3,000 with side houses. So you want a second one, but you could potentially just spam the outskirts and just have one, or you could make more, because there is more trade now, so we could potentially employ like 6,000 if we want to, but we don't need to. I was just reading the extra sentiment. Additional food types, entertainment as well as desirability will positively impact sentiment if they are above what houses require at their current evolution. Note that high unemployment can play a major part in sentiment as well. Poor sentiment can result in thefts, worker strikes, and even riots. If riots occur, lower taxes, pay more wages, and place additional prefectures to control the crowds. Note that crime is due to low sentiment and cannot be kept under control with prefects. You need to provide better quality of life for the houses in question. The sentiment overlay can help you see the problem areas. As key rating in achieving victory in any assignment, prosperity is a summary rating of all your houses in the city, which determine its ceiling. High evolved houses bring the rating ceiling up, while having slums or squalid housing needs to be compensated with other houses or much higher quality in the city. One thing that I need to mention here is that I'm playing with retirement age set to 60, and we are also playing with global labor pool. If someone is playing without 60 retirement, then they will have less workers, and also if they are playing without global labor pool, they will have to use extra workers to provide food and services to those feeder houses, which is very inefficient. So they will effectively pay like plus 100 extra workers for just having things in the city. And that's something that is why often for me, with my playstyle and the settings I play on, means that I will often have more workers than most people will, even though right now we don't, because those houses need to get more people here. We explain what each different housing level has as a rating. How fast the prosperity rating will rise per year is further determined if the house in your city, if your city has made a profit in the previous year, if it managed to pay its tribute to the emperor, and if you pay at least 2 more denar than Rome to your city's workers. The prosperity rating is adjusted each year in January, so it's often best to purge any unnecessary one-by-one houses or unneeded tents, which disproportionately bring the prosperity down, as the housing levels are evaluated based on numbers, not population housed within. Making sure your feeder houses are evolved as well is often vital if you do not use global labor pool, even at the expense of efficiency. I think that, have we not explained wages, that they are paid to 10 people, not to one person, this number. This is for 10 workers, not for one worker per year, which I think we explained that, but maybe I missed it or it's just not here. If it's not here, maybe it's in the second scenario. Cedric says 4,000 population felt like it was good amount without feeding. Like I had too much pop for not enough to use them with. That's expected, especially if you use the recommended settings. I have to make it so that even people with just kind of less efficiency will still not run into problems with workforce, but obviously disproportionately too many would be a problem. I'm also sure I read about that, but I don't know when. Food is low. We want to provide extra. This is due to the first feeding cycle, and also probably the labor shortage. I might build the second block, but currently we don't have the money really, so we will wait a little. I'll set the weapons to be exported. We want to open the trade route. It's gonna cost me everything, but we'll sell the timber and designate the furniture as well. Get some more money, and then we'll figure something out. Meanwhile, people are moving in, which currently we have a capacity for 612 more, which is a lot. We can also bring them to small castle already. Maybe give them a forum for some taxes. I'm gonna pay more than Rome by 4, raise this to 8%. Almost neutral on the workforce at least. We will want a bridge here. But it does mean that we can't make a farm here. That's fine. 2 extra, 1 extra here, 2 extra. It's fine. We can always use this other bank, and it's close enough where it can deliver to this without issue. We can use this bridge as a roadblock. But we still need a roadblock here. This will be enough for the whole city, I think. This is already cut off. We can have another depot right there. Let's get an engineer and a prefect here. Get another depot. So we'll have a higher yield. You explained it in your tutorial. You mentioned online tutorials, but I didn't see it in the messages. Well, then it needs to be added probably, because I remember saying that, and I have a video on this, yes, but the video is not enough. It needs to be in this tutorial as well. Wages need to be explained. There you go. It's on the to-do list. I'll see throughout the week if I find some time to do this. It's already Sunday. I wanted to do more, but just couldn't. I'm happy I managed to get the 3rd map today, because it was a hassle as well. Thanks to Matt for the corrections, of course. And to Johan for fixing some of the bugs, because otherwise we would have issues. There are some really stupid ones around, and we need to just have it work, because otherwise these tutorials I cannot rely on the events working, and if they don't, then it just kind of throws the wrench in everything. Let's get a couple more weapons, because we can sell a large volume. We could make furniture if we want to. Probably want to add that second block though. We have the money for it. We don't need this to be the 22x6, but I might as well make it just to see if we build the exact thing. If our city will handle the population. So sure will be too many, but I want to see if the trade is enough. Could put it on the other side, but it's already here, so it doesn't matter. Temples. Once you get more labor, we'll get some more industry going. With food, we should be set with these new farms, hopefully. I really like the mergers, by the way. The feature is just so nice. It eliminates the need for checkerboard, but it's not just convenience. It not only does it save clicks, but it actually makes you faster, because previously the checkerboard downside was that it takes like double the time to settle an area properly, and now that is basically gone. So as long as you place appropriate amount of plots, you will always get the mergers. Therefore you can just build faster, not have to worry, and it's less micro, which we agree that micro is probably not desired to determine your success in a game like this. Let's get some workshops. 6, 7, 8 for now. Get it there. We need a connection. I'll put a highway there. There you go. And a new warehouse. We have 5,000 denarii. Let's open up another trade route. We want furniture. We are selling that to this one. This one buys more weapons though. Let's do that, because we'll start to overstack very soon. You could do the cross 1x1 mergers before. What? Oh yeah. That's right, but that's still slower. That's the ultimate try-hard thing we did, and I think Turgan was the first to come up with it. And I did use that when the map is insane. I would use it, but we don't need to anymore, which is pretty good, because they're just smart, and that's I really like when you can do that. I wasn't sure that was even possible. It's just surprising the things that we can have now. There you go, some altars there. Some basic services, some food. Now, this is full, yep. So food is stabilizing. We get a bunch more people. We should get some more desirability just to make sure that they can evolve. This one is kind of terrible. There you go. Maybe some of the corner houses will need more. You can always do that. So with this, I suspect that our population will be much higher than we need. 4,700, 4,800, yep, so we'll see about that. We already have more workers than we have jobs, so let's expand our industry. We can certainly trade more, and we need the money for the objective anyway. So why not? Let's do connection there. This should be covered with this loop. Add more. We can have nice things. Do I hear some heresy? That emote exists for a reason, okay? Just because I'm not an affiliate anymore doesn't mean that the basic principles of the universe don't apply anymore. Okay? Needs to be respected. Nice things. There you go. They're technically one house, even if they are vacant lot. Yeah, it does kind of slow down immigration, but it took twice the time on your side to set up. That's what I was talking about as well. And you were obviously waiting, so I think that this is much better. The immigration is kind of... I would like to in the future maybe touch upon it a little bit, but we'll see. Currently there are many more important things to do and focus on. Sweeping the warehouse is clean right now. I think the Isengard needs to expand a little. Because we can sell 180 iron to a second trader, and this should help with that. It's a bit of a mess, I'm gonna admit. This does not look good, but we can just kind of make it work. As Strodhard always says, all it just works. Mine's are real. This is how Augustus is made. This is on the series how it's made. This slave labor. 100 minus 100 workers. That's fine. We'll be getting 1500 more. Yeah, we're certainly fine. We might even add more wheat just to kind of get that going. I should probably get more timber as well, but let's wait for the employees to trickle in. Yeah, might affect hardcore maps a little with the winding routes to the city where you did try hard the diagonal houses. Well, you might still do that is the thing, because the diagonals have 2 immigrants going to them, while this, even if it merges, will only have 1. So it actually won't affect it. So the ultimate tryhard is still to do the double houses, because it doubles your immigration rate. But it's at a cost of big special in a way. So you know, I don't think I need to explain that. I personally, if I don't have to do that, I won't. But maybe there are some people who like to do it, even if they don't have to. I'm not quite certain, because this is, again, quite special. Could eliminate that roadblock actually. Because it's a mess, but we got multiple, so hopefully nothing explodes here. We can still try hard, yeah. And it is still technically better to do. But as I said, unless I have to, normally I wouldn't, because I have a life. You know, it sometimes doesn't look like it. So we are already at the population we would need, plus some people might not use the setting, so they would have like 20% less industry than this. I think that's reasonable. I will need more, because I'm overpopulating. I could remove some of the side houses. I don't have a life anymore. But you are young, you have so much ahead of you. Surely you can sacrifice a decade or 2 to the project. It will be greatly appreciated. And before you ask, no, you don't have to agree. It's sort of a automatic thing. As an overstackage of iron. Do we have this right? No, as I thought. Let's open that. And we could sell wheat to Capia, but it's pretty desperate for like leather sponge. I'm probably not gonna do that unless we have to. We might have to. A decade. Yeah. Imagine what we could do in a decade. Of all your time and energy being invested into the mod. That would be amazing. Let's make some wheat. I have to do this because I'm overpopulating. But normally I think I want to keep the wheat export as sort of a like... You could do it, but should you? I don't think so. Unless you do this. Unless you make more people than you need. I could block this off. It doesn't matter. What we do want is a granary in the middle, right there. There you go. There. There. We might need 2 services for this one because I don't trust it. Engineer is probably fine, but the prefects would probably cause a fire. Let's get 2 depots. And a warehouse. It's a separate export, so it can sit here. They don't need to ever backtrack here. If it's shared goods, it would. This farm is not connected. I'm sure someone was about to mention that. Yeah. On it, immediately. I know we have Germans in the chat. Okay, not even I have that kind of autism. No, I did check for it. Without reading the chat. So, I think I suffer from the same disease. It's okay. Let's add another depot. It's a bit far. My shitpost isn't connected. Is this Dome Depot? The Home Depot? Yeah, we have, this is the meme, the Mom, can we have a depot? No, sweetie, we have a depot at home. And the depot at home is like here, and it needs to go from here to here, so the oxen travel like 75% extra distance. I've seen things, okay. Not here, but I've seen things. And it's, you know, to a degree it's fine, because it can still work. I think I could actually have another farm here. Yeah, just maybe another prefect, because trusting these people to do their job is a bit of a stretch. Yep. Let's get a roadblock. Put it here. General question. Is getting function of warehouses and grenades now pointless? Essentially, yes. I think I tried to explain it in the messages, but it gets like less than 10% of what a single depot can do. And yes, the depot does cost workers. It costs 15 and 100 upfront. However, the getter, the main downside of the getter is that they see any destination that's accepting as a destination. You can't tell it, oh, just get from here. They will see this and, oh, I can go here when there is wheat, and they will. And that means sometimes they deliver fast, sometimes they won't. And that's basically creating inconsistency. So then you have a situation, oh, well, why my blocks devolving? So like in Julius, what we would do to offset that is to set getters in some areas so that they never see that as a target. And then also spam like 8 granaries, so they get enough to feed an area far away from farmland, which now a single depot can do better. It also is space efficient, but worker efficient not really. Single granary has 6 employees, this has 15. But yeah. Maybe, I don't know. It probably could be done. If it could be done, maybe it should be. But those getters really are really inefficient compared to depots. So I don't know if there is much of a point, but technically I think that it should be possible. And maybe it should be done, because it's such a nice quality of life, right? It's just like, if you are about to use that mechanic for whatever reason, maybe you should have the quality of life that we have with depots. At least give it that. It's not a bad idea, but I don't code, so maybe Johan here could answer that question for us. Can it be done? Oh, gods are my case, because I've built too many people. It's fine. Let's make some temples. Oh, my cabbages. Let's build this. There you go. Doesn't matter. We don't have any other better religion, so it's gonna have to suffice. There are less times I use Garrus for like patrician wine or other good. It's a close source with low demand. Yeah, pottery, furniture, oil, wine, sometimes. But even then, I often find myself like, oh, why is it devolving? And you look and it's exactly the Garrus doing that, especially if you feed multiple blocks in the same source. Like this one, if you had a warehouse, and that warehouse would be getting like pottery from, say, here, there's a good chance that with 2 blocks they would still take too much. Yeah, it is, but in case that you really don't have workers, or say we have a special map where you don't have depots, because we could do that, even though none of us were crazy enough to do that with Augustus. But say we make a map like that, maybe we would want that to make it less painful. What exactly is meant with just not have special orders, just remove all of them completely? No. We don't talk about removing the Garrus. We should keep them, that's essential. It's part of the game and it's here, especially for people who don't know much about the depots and such. However, if we could make it so that when you get, you could set up like a button and then get from somewhere to somewhere, like a depot can. So that you can tell that carrier to only go somewhere, because that's a major downside of the Garrus, is that they will see this and this as viable options, and if he gets from here, that's close, but if he gets from here, that's not so close. It could result in devolution just because of that. Sell the wheat. Now we just make money. Price rise on weapons. Sure. We don't need to worry about favor or anything like that in this mission, as was said. Possible, whatever poor coding slave gets to it in the next year is another question. You need help. I think that's been established. We need to get you your own intern. You've done enough now that you need another helper. But I don't know where we will procure one. I think it's a bit illegal to buy people. So I don't know. Maybe there are some coding plantations out there, but I don't know if anyone would want to sacrifice their free time for this project, even though it's, you know, I will put this on YouTube. Maybe there is going to be someone who says, oh, I don't have anything going on in my life and I have decades, so, you know, they'll reach out and they will help. By the way, this is we don't get paid to do this. Nor I nor the developers get paid to do this. We would appreciate it though. Anyone who wants to get involved? Yeah, I know. It is a bit unrewarding in that you need to really, like, the only good thing that you have is to put that on your resume that you've worked on something and you can hone your skills is the only thing. And also, obviously, if you want to, community engagement, becoming part of the project can mean that you can kind of build up the skills with people skills as well, because there's all sorts of people who play the game and a lot of them are kind of different and you need to know how to talk to them, so that requires a bit of a skill set as well. Oh, brutality, welcome. See goated language. Okay, there's a great performance in managing your first city. You have brought Aquila from a tiny hamlet into a bustling and prosperous trade hub worthy of its place in the empire. In the next assignment, we'll look at the military mayors onwards to Luguvalum. And that's just what we are gonna do. We're gonna go directly to Luguvalum. And unpause. Welcome to Luguvalum. Governor, I welcome you to the Empire's frontier on the Rhine River. The next assignment is going to instruct you on the matters of managing the Roman legions as well as developing the local settlement into a proper Roman colony. Currently, the settlement is rudimentary and plagued with issues. It falls upon your shoulders to fix these issues with the skills you have developed thus far. and this is the asset replacement. If we don't have an asset, there is the Pepsi horse. So, you know, this is where I'll put the assets when I have the time to make them. I was thinking that I get them from Flash, but he didn't have the time, I think, so I'll have to do it myself. The local climate is of northern nature, and as such cannot support abundant harvests of wheat, as you have enjoyed in Aquileia. For this reason, it would be prudent to use some of the local fishing grounds and feed your citizens a diet of fish and vegetables. Use the abundant workforce to establish industries and export goods for profit to the wider empire. Regarding the local resources, Lagavulum does not possess deposits of iron ore, as Aquileia did. For this reason, you are to use the local clay to process into pottery instead. Quarrying stone and marble from stone outcroppings is also a potentially lucrative way to employ your citizens. The trade opportunities are somewhat lacking now, but rest assured, we will tackle this issue in the future. Obviously there won't be anyone who wants to get involved. I don't know, maybe. Hey, Kvasivolka. Morika? I don't know. Pepsi Horse isn't strictly just America, but it's a replacement asset. It's a placeholder, as you would call it. Regarding the local resources, Lagavulum does not possess deposits here, yeah, we covered that. Once the main tasks of solving unemployment issues and trade have been resolved, your next objective will be military in nature. Enemies of Rome are many, and people threatening your settlement belong to the fierce Germanic tribes. We don't have Germans in the game currently, so they are Gauls, I think, but we'll have to adjust that. I'd also recommend caution when expanding into new areas of the province. There are still wolves living in the woods and remote areas. These beasts are hostile and can seriously hinder our progress if we let them roam the settlement and its outskirts. It is advised to avoid opening land which contains them until later, when soldiers can be mustered to deal with this threat. Much like the wolves, I would also advise avoiding the area in the north, which includes a native people's village. These people are neutral towards our presence, but will react with hostility if we were to start building on territory they claim as their own. We'll consider investing in their community later to ensure their cooperation. If you struggle to feed your citizens, some cities in the empire offer their surplus wheat for export at subsidized rates, which you can make use of, assuming the city's economy can handle the costs. It will not take too long to fulfill your duties, Governor. You have high expectations of your performance. Gonna add Germans into the game. Warning, even buildings aren't connected to destroying the buildings. Yeah. No, seriously, I need the Germans. I asked Sephirex, but I think he said that it's possible, but it's not within the scope of doing it quickly. Also, I have a cat on my shoulder, and he's really inhibiting my way to play the game, so he's gonna have to go. Oh. A retained population of 2,500 residents within the city, stockpile 5,000 denarii, and bring unemployment to 15% or less. Before you complete this objective, you needn't worry about sentiment mechanics. People will stay in line until you address the issues, which is a key thing, because otherwise the city would instantly explode when we load into it. It's gonna have so much unemployment. Additional information: prefectures. As the map is in a northern climate, there is no risk of fires. For this reason, prefectures are not necessary, as crime and unrest are best solved by improving conditions or paying more wages. Repression is only ever a temporary solution. Marble and clay. Marble produces at a slower rate than other raw materials. Each quarry produces 4.8 units of marble per year. This means, however, that a quarry cars can travel up to 66 tiles away and still be able to return in time for the next batch of goods. Clay produces the standard 9.6 cartloads per year, but like the iron mines in Aquileia, must be placed in a specific area. Clay pits can only be placed near bodies of water. Wolves. There are wolves on the map at the start. It is possible to wall them in using aqueducts or other structures, but due to their close nature, the wolves won't be able to pass through trees or across water. The best approach is to wait until military unit is available later to dispatch them safely. Wolves will roam the map and kill any walker they come across. This can seriously damage your economy, as goods won't be delivered and walkers cannot provide their services. More importantly, the wolves can also kill any incoming immigrants, hindering the city's growth. If you unleash the wolves on accident, you can still try to enclose them with buildings or subdue them with prefects, although the process is slow and still prone to cause some economic damage to your colony. Natives. Native people, when given access to their mating hut, will be protective of their territory. You will see which areas they claim as their own using the native risk overlay. Building any structures except mission posts yet to be unlocked. Highways or roads will cause all natives present on the map to become hostile, attacking walkers and buildings. To remove the offending structure in the process, they might significantly damage your city. Fishing. Fishing wharves can only be constructed on straight coastlines of at least 2 tiles long. Such places can be identified with a keen eye easily after obstacles such as trees are removed. Fishing wharves require a shipyard to build and send fishing boats to them. One shipyard is usually enough to provide boats to the entire city, unless events such as Curse from Neptune then sinks many of them, in which case multiple shipyards can be used to quickly replace them. The efficiency of individual wharf can vary widely. It depends on the distance to the fishing spot, which you can identify visually with seagulls circling over them. Fishing wharves close enough to the fishing point can be even more productive than a high-yield wheat farm, but it also means that ensuring proximity to storage facilities is paramount. Otherwise, the wharf's carrier might not be able to return fast enough to pick up the next batch, reducing its efficiency accordingly. Sometimes farmland or other map features might compete for space with coastline suitable for fishing. In such cases, it needs to be considered which resources or map feature is more important for the needs of the city. For Logavellum, a productive food industry is crucial for its future success. Fishing ships cannot pass under low bridges. You will need to construct ships bridges in the places where ship travel occurs. Terrain bonuses. Houses which are sited on high ground or near water will benefit from increased desirability naturally, and thus will have easier evolution and sentiment management. Regarding high ground, the higher the cliff level, the higher the corresponding bonus will be. The biggest obstacle in building on cliff sides will be space and access to water. For solving the water requirements, it is often vital to plan out your future expansion and aqueduct system beforehand. Otherwise, you might take up valuable space for its construction with less important structures. To preserve space when constructing aqueducts, bringing water through a rugged area, it is often best to hug the sides of cliffs, rocks, or water with the aqueduct rather than cutting across open areas, leaving more space for future development. Irregular housing blocks. Not only does 22x6 housing block optimally use space in open land, but it can be easily adapted to fit other shapes than a single rectangle. It can be used in a T, X, or L shape, utilizing the available land maximally, while adhering to the surrounding obstacles. Small obstacles such as rocks can easily be included in the middle section, which is used for fountains and decorations. So in this map, we already start with a pre-built settlement. We got a tiny little bit of a highway here. We've got some wolves on these little islands. They cannot attack our city. We've got some wharfs. Now, this is built with global labor pool disabled, so that you have a feeder here, and you have a cliff dweller here. This road, walkers passing by that, if you didn't play with global labor, would get access from labor from this cliff. So that's how that's done. Now this block is a chunky block, but it works with a single set of services, and it's built in such a way that you can just use it. There is no issues with it really. There's 54 houses of 2x2 in it, which is ridiculous, and it's only available because of these diagonals, so that you can have extra. But the whole idea of this mission at the start is you have some money and you have a ton of labor, and those will not riot, and you need to find ways to use that labor, and it's sort of there to make you learn that, you know, labor is money, and how do you mass employ people. Since the first map you kind of build it up gradually, this one is more like right away, but you don't actually have pressure from that. Something I should do is disable these towers, by the way. I didn't manage to do that when setting up this scenario because I only built them a little bit later. So we'll see. Markets are a bit unstable though. They are. But they do cover it. So hopefully with enough time it's fine. There's also a supply system with depots bringing fish to the main blocks. Now since we are playing with global labor pool, I'm gonna remove that house. Let's check the empire. So, sort by cheapest. Marble and stone. Okay. Trade center should go here. There are some rocks. Clear that. Now, since marble can be delivered further away, stone should go first, because it needs to be closer. And I'll build 10 of it, because we'll trade it with another city as well. I'll just quickly grab the overlay anyway. I'm just used to having it. There you go. If I build this here, should I build it like so? This one will go upstairs later. This one needs to go at end. You don't need prefects because it's a northern map, so just get an engineer in each area. The cat wants attention. I think he might want food. SAP says, why so bad, giraffe? I don't know what that means, but you can elaborate further if you want. Marble and stone. We need tons of workers employed, so that's not gonna be enough, but we can use these two easily. There is more marble there. Before we open it, we wait until some goods are stockpiled. What are other goods? Clay and pottery. They're also cheap to set up as well. Oh, she's welcome. We could also relocate these small temples because they are taking up valuable space near the coastline. Because clay access actually is not that simple on this one. We kind of want to either use some of the farmland for clay or relocate these temples, and I think we'll relocate the temples. But that's gonna happen after I feed the cat. cat is complaining. I think he wants cuddles. Thanks, Johan. See you around. Bye. Looking forward to what you can do with the bugs you talked about. Okay, so that's set up. We can do the clay and pottery, we can relocate the temples. Maybe we should focus on yet more marble first though, because those routes, it's basically the same price as opening the clay one, and it's easier for me to set up just mass marble. So we'll probably do that instead. So got our objectives. You need to keep the population of 2,500. Oh, Jake, welcome. Lararia time. Well, technically it's Lararia, I think, but I also didn't know that. But we are not gonna be spamming that. It's no longer really as good as it once was. Years ago, Karyu didn't like what we did with them. So they're now not cost effective unless you wait like 50 years to pay off with the levy. They can still be good for like the houses because 1x1 spots can have them, which give you tons of value. But otherwise they're no longer valuable enough to mass. But having a couple here and there is pretty good. So let's have a couple. It's fine. Still have tons of unemployment since the center started with that. We have some stone. Let's open that trade route. If he has, no, they don't have levy. Temples have levy. The Lararia don't have levy, but essentially they cost more per. Yeah, that's why it takes forever. Compared to if you build a temple, it costs 50. If you build a Lararium, it costs 45. That's almost as much as a temple, and it covers 10 population. Small temple covers 750. You would need 75 Lararia to account for one set of small temples, and that's way more expensive. It doesn't have workers, and it doesn't have levy, but in order to pay off, it takes years, decades in game. Yeah, so that's why. But they can still be good. It's just not viable to spend. That's probably exactly how the balance should be, by the way, because otherwise it would be pretty ridiculous as it once was. You know, to have a Lararia corner, just spam like 300 of them somewhere. Did not look good, and it was kind of silly. Central altars, by the way. Get a couple. So highway, I would like a highway already. Going back to the RC after Christmas, so I have some time of work. I stopped at Carthago. Okay. Should be interesting for you. I will be making an update, but no need to wait for that because I don't know when. I wanted to do it before Christmas, but there's just so many things I need to do, and currently I'm busy with this tutorial. So until this is done, I can't really move to the RC, but once I get to it, it's gonna be pretty quick. We'll have some new events, and there are a bunch of new things we can now do, but it will take a while. And from Carthago, you have half the campaign still left. So depending on how fast you play, it's still gonna provide you with a lot of maps. Yeah. Essentially, the worship bonus is negligible. You can sort of benefit from it, but often it's not really something to really be worth considering. Let's get even more marble. And also this staircase is cursed, so I'll cut it off. Next up, probably the clay. Unless you want to spend 2,400 for 24 marble quota. Closing the app, it wasn't the time for me. You were afraid of the map because like, oh, if I get 2 bad eggs, that means there's gonna be a lot of bad people. Or was it that you don't want to use multi-bad eggs? Because both are valid. Yeah, okay. That's fine. It's not that scary, okay? Zach played it. If you wanted to spoil yourself, you could watch me or Zach play it. Zach just finished it yesterday. It's on YouTube already. It's not that bad, honestly. But it's there since, you know, it's expected that you will need more soldiers. But even the Caesar... And also, you don't have to take the scary path. You can just play the Caesar path and be safe. Just have a little bit worse economy because either you go the economic path or the military path, and you know, you don't need to take the scary one. Get some more stone. I'm considering opening that trade rate for the marble. I think I'll do that. Yeah. And then we do some clay. For that, I'll need to relocate my temples, and I haven't decided where the temple spam will be. Probably down here. Yeah, that makes sense.
Through those funds quickly. Try to make these new funds last longer.
And we have proper debt this time. Also, we should lower our wages, or our salary, and send him a gift. Could evolve people, but we still have too many workers, really. Food is stable. We didn't have to touch anything about the block, really. Marble still seems a little bit light, but I suspect that it's because the production rate just hasn't caught up with the quotas and the 3 trade routes we have open. It's probably just a matter of time. I could build this highway up, just to boost that yet further. Let us do that. And we can take our time, it's not necessary to rush this. I will probably start relocating those temples now, we have the money for it, and they are just such... That's the idea, is they're not in a great position, but they're not supposed to be. You should think about that, because the clay access is kind of important, so it makes you realize certain things. You can, of course, not deal with it and just build the clay pits here, but then it's a decision between do you want to waste farmland or do you want to waste money for replacing the temples? I don't know, I feel like I want to just do this instead. And I'll build an extra set, I think. So we will need an extra set anyway, pretty soon. We'll keep the layout because that's gonna be great for clay pits. Price rise on marble is good for us. How many marble quarries do we have currently? 23 times 4.8. That's like 100 marble per year. What is the quota total? Yeah, we produce more than we need. Same stone. So now it's time to get into clay. We don't need the feeder houses support here. Let's get rid of that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16 workshops. Well, we don't need to make all the workshops. For now, just a couple, and we will use the rest of the clay for directly exporting it. create a connection. There you go. Now we just need to wait for some goods to accumulate so we can actually sell them. I think it's time for us to evolve them. I could tax them already, but money is gonna be flush really. I don't think we need to worry about that at all. Food is overstacked. I think we finished our quota this year. For everything, yeah. We just need to open the new trade routes, but there is no clay yet. Or pottery, so it's best if we wait a little. Could build some more workshops. Best place for it is here, because it doesn't have clay anyway. You can't build clay pits there. Might as well be pottery. No clay there. We could expand our clay here on this shore. We shall do that. There's a wharf spot. We don't need to use all the wharf spots, it's fine. Put it here. I probably will want to cut it off. Give it a engineer. First pottery. Export. Export the pottery over 8. Still have unemployment, so we still need more, and that's okay. So get covered from there. It's gonna have access to the resources from here as long as we put a tile right there. Could also loop it with the clay coming to the highway, which is not a bad idea. Military mares. I'll read that in a sec. Just gonna finish this first. So we finished the objective. Great work, Governor. Now we can invest the denarii you gathered into fielding a military force to recruit and train soldiers. A supply post needs to be constructed first. The supply post acts like a market and will send out its walker, the quartermaster, to any nearby granary, which allows quartermaster access on the same road layout, who brings back provisions for your future soldiers. Soldiers not only need food to be recruited and be in a condition to fight, but providing more than one food type has positive effects on morale. After the supply post has been constructed, build a barracks. This structure does not need to be sharing a road layout with the supply post, but acts as a recruitment center from which troops are sent to their forts. Normally, each city can only have one active barracks, but you can use a setting to enable building multiple barracks to speed up recruitment and unit replenishment. After you have constructed the barracks, build 2 forts and fill them with soldiers. 3,000 denarii added to the city fund. Supply post, barracks and forts unlocked. Pleasant staff, supply post, barracks and fill 2 forts with soldiers, 16 each. The type of fort does not matter, but it's recommended you start with fielding some javelin auxiliaries. Additional information, Forza troops. I don't think I'm gonna read this. This is a breakdown of each type of unit. Basically, if you want to read about what kind of troops there are and what they do, this is where I would do that. I'm not gonna read that, but let's build a fort. And I'm gonna build it here so we can block this off. We'll need to provide some extra desirability because these houses will hate this fort. But it's to make it safe. Oh yeah, first we need a supply post, of course. From which granary will we take? I think we can take from this one. There. Javelins. And then I want some swordsmen. Auxiliaries. And then we need a barracks. I'm gonna do one. I'm not gonna use the multi-barracks. Housing evolution, that's another objective. While we wait for troops to trickle into their forts, let us tackle another matter. Thus far we have achieved modest levels of housing, but the time has come for you to raise the living standards of our people to a truly Roman standard. People living in insular tenements will pay higher taxes per resident, as well as enjoy overall higher sentiment due to their living conditions. As mentioned, each level of housing also increases the population which can live in a single house. To achieve this, you should use some of the local clay to process into pottery for our people's needs. A single workshop at full efficiency can supply around 20 houses if market ladies can pick up the goods in quick order to distribute them. After pottery has been distributed, people will crave additional entertainment options. We should construct an amphitheater and supply it with actors and gladiators from their respective schools. Note that, like most of the other structures, amphitheater will send out its walker to provide its entertainment service to housing along their path, but the destination walkers from actor colonies and gladiator schools also provide a bonus to houses along the path they take from the schools to the amphitheater. For this reason, the amphitheater and the schools need to be on the same road layout. Only once the amphitheater has received actors and gladiators will the service quality be sufficient for us to see people evolve their dwellings into small insula, a staple of any Roman colony. Lastly, I've instructed educated teachers to come to Lugavellum to teach the locals some Latin and encourage them to trade with you. You may construct a mission post in their village, and its walker will educate the locals. Soon you should see native traders from their village from meeting hut coming to buy your goods, and the natives should let you build on at least some of their land. Amphitheater, gladiator school, and actors colony unlocked. Also mission post. I think we need to add that. Second mission post also unlocks at amphitheater objective. There you go. Markets need quick access to the goods and food for their block to use the, as mentioned previous, and for this reason it's recommended to locate the warehouse containing pottery near the granary, which is the destination for the market ladies already. This warehouse will of course need to allow market lady access to offer them goods for their needs and act as a valid destination. Even when placed in efficiently, there could still be problems with market lady behavior. For this reason, it is often vital to restrict their access to any other faraway road connected warehouse or granary to ensure their valid destination is the intended near source. Additionally, if still insufficient, adding more markets, specializing markets to collect specific goods or food via the market special orders could prove instrumental. Missionaries. Yeah, I'm not gonna read the missionaries. So we have some things to do. I will probably replace my market here, build the warehouse here, give it a road. We could get with a car. Let's get 12. And also these houses hate where they live now, so we will have to solve that. Let's get a school. and a theater. And we need an amphitheater as well, but we're gonna place that here. And we need Actors Colony and Gladiator School. Now we'll still need some more desirability, I think. This one does not have engineers, so probably can't have that there. 1, 2, that's fine. 1, 2, can have flat area there. We still probably need another desirability structure though. Help these guys along. Same as urine. There should be enough soon. I think we are making a bank. Troops are recruiting. I'll use this space for a decoration. Could put a 2x2 there. Getting a little bit of a fluctuation. We could add another market if we relocate this temple. It might impact desirability here a little bit, but should be fine. It doesn't cover the whole block, but that's fine. It's gonna just help distributing things. Desirability? Yes. Let's put an obelisk right there. This house also suffers from low desirability. We could try and solve it, but it's a bit tricky. That would cover it. Pottery. It's gonna get there. Now we do have to worry about sentiment, I think. Let's add a forum. Pay people some more wages. Charge some rent. Apparently we could still use more clay. That needs to be like that, unfortunately. The engineer says it's fine, but I'll add another one just to be safe. Forts are filling up. Devolution, but it's gonna be solved soon enough. It's immediately causing crime. We do need to employ people though, and they are currently not employed as much as they could be. I could open this trade route for more pottery and clay. Export. And then add some more pottery workshops. Get that. It's just one pit, it's not quite enough. That's why I mentioned we might need to build some on this. I'm not gonna make vegetables, I don't think. I can just make fish. Don't make that a block. Bring clay from 9 to 6. That's more than 4. People are leaving, but I think that was temporary, and we can pay them some more. Could get some more fish. It's running a little bit low. Don't have that many wharfs here, but even 4 will have quite high output. Just have that. We could do vegetables, but I don't particularly care for vegetables. Maybe 1 depot would be fine here. Prices are on pottery. We overproduce goods, but that's okay. We can use them for monuments anyway, and that's gonna be an objective pretty soon. As with previous mission, remember that most people probably will play without 60 age retirement, so they will have less workers than I do. And you can always downsize the block if you feel like you have too many workers, which you can employ, you can remove and then add back the houses. This tent is causing issues. It's mostly because only one market reaches that far. Could maybe solve it with another market. Invasion points and defenses. Well, I'm governor with some soldiers ready to defend the city. We can now evaluate where an incoming attack might happen from. Any open edge of the map can be a potential place for enemies to enter the map during an invasion. Traditionally, entry and exit points of the map are not used as invasion points on most maps. If you look north of your city, there are some towers placed on a hill overlooking potential path enemies must take when approaching our city. These structures, well left there by the invading Roman legions in the past, can be repurposed in serving our city. Buildings such as the towers can be mothballed or disabled, saving on worker costs at time of shortage. You can see which buildings have been mothballed by icon hovering over them. To reactivate a building, simply use designated hotkey X or right click and enable disable button on the bottom of its UI. Towers also require road access like other structures. If you see, there's the barracks guard thing. After you activate and stab the towers, guard will be sent from the barracks to man the tower, and guards patrol the adjacent stone walls, while workers man the tower's ballista to shoot projectiles and nearby enemies with great range and damage. There's another obstacle to deal with, however. Trees have grown up and are blocking the line of sight and fire for the towers on the hill. Any obstacles 3 or more tiles wide will obstruct buildings or units' line of fire and thus hinder their effectiveness. We should clear some of the woodland and open the shooting angles so the towers can effectively engage the enemy. After obstacles have been cleared, place a palisade wall in front of the hill so you can shield our troops and provide defensive buffer for them to fight more effectively behind, so palisades, no matter how thick, will never obstruct line of sight and fire. Keep in mind that the best way to design a defensive area is to leave one section of the wall open to enemy approach, as to entice and funnel them into a kill zone. Kill zones only work when enemies can trace to a clear path without walls, terrain or gates blocking their path to the city. When multiple areas of the map offer potential approach, you can use wall to block and reroute them to where you desire. Such place does exist at the foot of the hill containing our housing block. Place a palisade or a fort at the foot of the or top of the staircase, completely blocking it off from the enemies while leaving clear path open through the main area where defenses are located, enticing them to take the preferable approach to the city. We unlock palisades, next object to prepare the defensive as instructed. Yeah. I'm not gonna read the kill zones, it's important, but we already blocked it, so it counts as blocked. Staff towers, we have staff towers. We need towers able to fire, so we need to clear that. But once I do, there's gonna be an attack, so I'm gonna place down a fort. I need to start building up some extra units. It's gonna be javelins. And yeah, let's clear this. So as we clear it, more towers should be able to fire. They still don't have guards from the barracks, which I might switch my barracks to train tower guards. Okay. Enemy invasion imminent. Governor, you have prepared the defensive accordingly. Now truth has come. Enemy army has invaded the city and will attempt to loot and destroy it. Send out troops to take defensive position at the foot of the hill near the towers and defeat the enemy army. So we need to defend the enemies. There's some tips. That's fine. Let's check. Let's take the palisade. I'll make a layout. Such as this should be enough. We don't have a military academy, so our swordsmen not gonna be the best shape, but should be enough hopefully. We could skirmish with our javelins, but I want to see what happens if we just let this invasion hit us without any preparation. Okay, ballistas are being manned. I reposition the swordsman to face the enemy. It's quite important. So otherwise we suffer malice to their defensive stats. The X-Men have ridiculous DPS, but no match. Okay, that's done. Now we wait for this to complete. There's no way to really check, I think. There might be a way to check if there are enemies now. I think that's been added, so maybe I can change that, but it's pretty fast. Constructing monuments. Well done, Governor. The enemy is defeated. Our city should now focus on other matters. Our next objective will be for you to get familiar with advanced constructions of our monuments. These are complex structures which cannot be put together in short order and require skilled masons and architects as well as many materials to be constructed. Accordingly, endeavoring to construct monuments can be a big financial labor investment which does offer many benefits. Monuments generally fall in several categories. There are trader-related monuments such as lighthouse and caravanserai which boost trade capabilities. Many monuments such as oracles, large temples, mausolea, and nympha which are generally focused on providing more efficient and better way of handling god worship capacity in the city without need to use too many small temples. Then there are large monuments such as grand temples, the Colosseum, and the Hippodrome. Monuments start by placing construction site which needs access and of its middle tiles connected to a road network. If a building such as an oracle doesn't have a middle tile, and of its tiles will suffice. This road network should also contain a work camp for foremen to collect resources for the current construction stage and an architect's guild which handles finishing a construction stage at the monument. Note that foremen from the work camp need a warehouse to be given permission to take relevant resources from it, and they need to share the same road layout. In addition to timber, stone, and marble, which you're already familiar with, many monuments require bricks, which are made from both clay and sand by brickworks workshops. Concrete is made as needed in a concrete workshop using sand, while the concrete workshop itself requires water access via well or a reservoir to operate. Reservoir access increases production versus well. If you want to speed up monument construction, you could produce more materials for their use and place additional work camps to expedite moving materials to construction site, especially if many are being built at once. After all the monument stanchions are completed, it becomes active. If the building is a large temple or other structure which sends out a walker, and of its tiles can now act as a valid road connection, and its middle tile connection can be safely removed. I now command you to construct a caravanserai to boost the training capabilities of our city, and at least 5 oracles and 2 nympha to provide desirability and keep the gods happy. Keep in mind that after its construction is finished, a caravanserai will require permission and access to a granary with food to provide for each trading caravan that enters the map. Caravans do need to physically enter caravanserai, however, so you may site it at the most convenient location without worrying about behavior of trading caravans. We got some money, work camp, architect's guild, concrete workshop, brickworks, monuments are unlocked, new resources available, sand and timber. Staff at least 1 work camp, architect's guild, brickworks, 2 brickworks, and 2 concrete makers construct oracles, nympha, and caravanserai. There's some additional information about monuments. I'm not gonna read that. So let's go ahead and get into that. Workshop, let's get some bricks. First, let's get some sand actually. Sand, can we build it here? Nope, it's too far. What about here? Too far? It can be here. That's a little road tile there. But we could probably pretty easily make this here. We'll need some timber as well, but there's plenty of trees. 3. I'll make 4, but it's a bit of an overkill. Workshop, bricks. 1, 2, I'm gonna make 3. Workshop, concrete. There are some production rates I mentioned in the extra information, but we don't really need to know. It's fine to make a little less than what it could. We want a work camp or 2. We want an architect's guild, and now we want some oracles. It doesn't matter where we put this. We could put it next to the block, but it's fine to just use it here. We need 5. 2 these need the middle tiles accessible, so let's do that. So that's set. Now we need a caravanserai. Let's put it there, and then we allow a caravanserai walker to take from here. Also, we need to allow work camp people. Might as well allow Caesar to take from this if we ever need to do that. We need a new warehouse and some timber. And 16 bricks. They're building it. We got another invasion. This is probably a bigger one, so I'm gonna probably skirmish. Can I make watchtowers? Regular towers. We shouldn't have access to this. There is a bug right now. Still, let's just have it, even though we shouldn't. Favor and request. Governor, while we wait for the monuments to be constructed, I have another matter which will require attention from now on. The Emperor might, in addition to yearly tribute, also ask for specific goods to be dispatched. Fulfilling these requests in timely fashion is, in addition to sending him gifts, using personal savings is the way for governors to accumulate and maintain high favor rating. By the way, this invasion is because I built extra troops. It shouldn't happen just yet, normally, but because I have built the extra fort, it happened to me. Maybe I should delay it somehow, because it happening at the same time as this is not preferable. We touched upon subject of briefly, but as you might know, that will have the opposite effect. For to succeed in future assignment, it's vital for you to pay at least some attention to these matters now. In 2000 denarii, personal savings have been granted. Use gifts and fulfill requests to maintain high favor rating. If you keep favor at or above 50, the assignment can be finished. Go. Send him the stuff. There should be a bigger delay with this invasion. It's a bit too spicy. Also, these troops need to move. They face the enemy. Oh, enemies are nearby, that's right. So we've built one oracle already. Once we build these, we might have to might need to remove some stuff. We also will need a second block. For now, this one is a bit unstable. I would like to solve it, but it depends if another market here would even cover any amount. It would actually. And a Neptune temple, we don't necessarily need that in our block. Can just remove all the other temples from the dump. How many do we have? 4 series, so remove that one. So now our worship will be boosted by the oracles. There's been the coverage mentioned. I didn't read the extra stuff. Caravanserai is being built. Everything's being built. We could add another brickworks if we need it. Also, I should probably make a shortcut for the supply. Could plan the next block immediately. I will probably clear those wolves. Can easily make another block, but I'll wait for the objectives to tell us to do so. Could trade with the natives, but money is just flush. We don't need to worry about that at all. Caravanserai is done. Let's set a policy for it. More value. Still need to build. Oh yeah, I forgot about its middle tile. There you go. Build the last thing. Should be done pretty much immediately. Victory. Well done, Governor. Now that you have expanded your skill set in managing advanced constructions, you have proven that you can handle tasks with some degree of efficiency. There is still much to learn, but from this point on I will no longer explain the basics in such detail. In order for you to achieve victory in this assignment, I wish for you to expand the military force to at least 4 forts full of their complement of soldiers. We already did that. Provide furniture to the houses and let at least 25 of them attain the evolution level of medium insula. We can do that easily. Construct a grand temple to a deity of your choice. So now it's gonna explain effects of each grand temple. I'm not gonna go into detail of that either. Suffice to say, I will be building a Venus grand temple. And we will produce some furniture, and I don't even think we need to make another block. Really, so I'll just use the one we have. We'll make 6 workshops worth of furniture. That should be more than enough for this. We already had the troops. I don't even know if it showed up or not. Equipping legionaries, armories, legionaries, and military academy. While we wait for the final objective, we also need to expand our knowledge of the military matters yet further. Lugvalum has no deposits of iron ore, but we could import iron and process it into weapons and still be able to equip units of legionaries while selling excess goods to other cities. Open a trader to Giuliobana and import its iron, process it in weapons workshops, then build an armory which will transport weapons to our barracks, and finally construct and equip a full fort of legionaries. In addition to this, it's now possible to construct and staff additional stone towers, which are in place upon stretches of at least 2 by 2 segments of stone walls. Watchtowers and military academy are also available for you to experiment with. Watchtowers shoot arrows, easy enough. Let's get the armory. Our barracks is on this layout, so put this armory here. I'll make this warehouse take a little less. That, accept some iron. Make workshop for weapons. It might be far away, it doesn't matter. Reduce this further, get weapons. I'm just doing it as fast as possible. Don't care about anything else really. 4 legionaries and just put it somewhere here. And maybe a second workshop will do us good. Open up, trade route to Giuliobana. Import its iron. I could buy bricks, but I have no real need for that. Send him the marbles. Weapons being made. We should accept armory cars. Legionary is being trained up. Our temple is being constructed. We need a library. No, we don't. We already have the houses, right? Grand temple staff, we need that. Armory, staff, military academy. We need a military academy as well, and we need weapons workshops 8 because we are supposed to be exporting it. Okay. 4, 5, 6, 8. I could give them a closer proximity source. It doesn't matter right now. But I will make the military academy since it asks for it. It can be anywhere. I'll let them recruit for a while. Too many javelins for them to handle. It's fine. So yeah, finish the temple. We got the workshops. Got the academy. Need the, oh, we need the city population actually higher. So we do still need to make another block. I could just make it a line block, but let's just quickly design it. It's not gonna make super efficient use of the side space. It doesn't need to. This area could be expanded, but just, we need a small one. So let's make that, connect it up, get a little block there, prepare some markets, get some houses in here. We don't need that many honestly because, well, we only need the population. We already have the medium insula, so it doesn't really matter. This should be more than enough. No prefecture needed. Barber, doctor, random temple, school, theater, Amphitheater. Bathhouse. Genetics. This should be enough population. Not quite. Might have to bring down that goal a little bit. So I think this is a bit high. Yeah. Now we have it. Send him the stuff. Because we could obviously spend those workers. We never made any vegetables. There's another trader. I'm not selling all the goods I can, but money has no value, so there's very little reason. Third map is about patricians. I will not be able to show it today. It's already too late. But I can show it next time if there is interest. Extension War Governor, you seem to have talent and I recommend you for yet another promotion. In Hipporagius, not only will you face these conditions for the first time, but you will learn more about the economy and attracting the Roman elite to live as patricians in your city. So that's what we'll do. I can just do a little look, I suppose. Yeah. So in Hipporagius, your first objective is a rich population of 1,000 residents in the city, evolve at least 25 houses to small casa, export 60 units of olives to Cyrene within a single year. Now, why is that relevant? Because there's been a disaster and this city is in ruins. You have labor to kind of staff some of its things, but we already lack workers and these houses are in terrible condition. So your objective is to rebuild it and do it in such a way that you get enough money and more cities will open. And this map is about sea trade. We'll see and try to use sea trade. There is now a different version of the map I have ready, which has a bunch of land here for extra block, because we didn't have enough space here. For me, when I was testing, it was fine. I did manage to get more people, but obviously I can't expect the new people to put a block here because this block wasn't standard at all. Yeah, I want you to realize you can do sort of different shapes, but also this is too little for new people to work with. This is obviously the patrician little place. I've adjusted the water a little so there's more space. I want to also make the labor shortage a bit different from the start. I want to add some unnecessary industries that you do want to mothball at the start. Either some marble or even some other things. Like maybe a little bit of fishing that you don't really need at the start. Maybe you should mothball or get rid of the wheat depending on what you want. So that's gonna be that. There is also a bit of a competition with fertile land and timber. So you want to conserve some of the trees, not delete them all because you kind of want some of them. But otherwise, there's a bit of a native village here, but it's really not like, there's a bug by the way, it gets fixed immediately once you load into a map. You don't need to really do anything about them. But yeah, this map is, it also kickstarts pretty quickly because you already start with some kind of thing going on and it's not horribly designed. You can very well use this. You just need to clear the ruins and then, you know, make use of the farmland. Well, and in order for it to work with no global labor pool, there is this feeder, by the way, and it's part of this block. You could put a fountain here and have it be a proper house. It just depends what you want. So that's kind of a sneak peek. We'll see if we play this later. I still need a lot of work on the tutorial. There's still missing assets and everything, but obviously all the 3 maps are ready, so that's kind of a milestone. Finally, it's you know, at least playable. But in order to get it to at least worthy state, obviously more work needs to be done. Anyway, if you want to test it yourself, you can find it on Discord, as I said, or you can ask me if you can't find it yourself. So we will deal with this later. Thank you for watching. See you around. Bye.